If style points were what you were looking for from the Miami Hurricanes Saturday, you didn't get them. The Hurricanes held on for dear life against Appalachian State, needing a late stand at midfield by the defense to hold off the upset-minded Mountaineers. Only the distraction of a wayward cat clinging to a banner in the upper deck of Hard Rock Stadium, falling to near death only to be saved by fans who used an American flag as a parachute, saved the Hurricanes from more consternation from the fan base than they received. It distracted everybody for a day or two. But fair or unfair, the reaction since then has resembled what might have played out if the Canes had actually lost the game. Needless to say, the Canes Nation is not happy with what it's seen of its football team so far this season, something resembling what has been witnessed in many seasons over the past decade. The Canes are in a race right now to get themselves ready for Michigan State on Saturday, a team that has opened the season looking significantly better than their model a year ago when the Spartans went 2-5 in Mel Tucker's first season. But Tucker hit the transfer portal hard, adding 15 new players that he will bring to Hard Rock on Saturday, including a running back, Kenneth Walker from Wake Forest, a linebacker, Quavaris Crouch from Tennessee, and an offensive tackle from Arkansas State, Jared Horst, who have been absolutely outstanding so far this season. Through their first two games, the results have been outstanding for the upset-minded Spartans. The team opened the year with a 38-21 win over Northwestern, and last weekend handed overmatched Youngstown State a 42-14 defeat. They're averaging 553 yards per game of offense, behind a formidable run game and allowing just 352 yards. In the opener, Walker had 264 yards rushing on 23 carries. They're going to come out playing smash-mouth football on Saturday and testing the toughness of Miami's front seven. The bottom line is that Miami better get quickly, and that will be the theme of the conversation tonight as we embark on a new edition of CaneSport Live. Hello again, everybody. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com. We welcome you once again to CaneSport Live. As always, it's your show. It'll be driven by your participation. The call-in number is 563-999-3550. That's 563-999-3550. More than 100 open phone lines, plenty of room for everybody to call in and participate. By now, you know the drill. You hit the number 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. That puts you in the queue. We bring you on the show in the order that you land in the queue. We're going to get right to your phone calls tonight because I know everybody's got a lot on their mind and a lot they want to say. At 9 o'clock, in our point-counterpoint segment of the show, with the voice of the fan, Bruce Warner, we're going to be joined by offensive line legend Leon Searcy. A lot of offensive line talk. Those of you that follow our coverage know that offensive line coach Garen Justice had a lot of animated things to say today about the progress of his unit, who's playing well, who's not playing well. We'll review that. We'll talk a little bit of offensive line and a lot of other things with Leon Searcy, who always brings a lot when he comes on the show. We also asked the posters at CaneSport.com to give us topics and questions that they would like to hear discussed on tonight's show. We'll address those tonight during the course of the show. I know last week I didn't get to a lot of them. I'm going to bring those into the equation earlier this evening to make sure that we don't run into the same issue. But right now, I want to get out to your calls, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. We're going to be in tonight in the 870. You are now live on CaneSport Live. How you doing this evening?
Hey, how you doing, Gary? This is Lemuel.
Hey, what's up, Lemuel? You got in early tonight, huh?
Yeah, got in early. My guy Norm told me to call in here because we always talking. So, yeah, I got in early. So, man, I want to just really just address a couple things as far as, of course, everybody's upset with Diaz, and rightfully so. I think some things that we have are mental. One of the issues that I kind of wanted to bring up was after the Alabama game, and I'm sure somebody has said this. After the Alabama game, I was reading some of his comments and was like, in some comments he was saying, well, that was just Alabama. It's what they do to everybody. We have a good team. just wasn't, it was off. Appalachian State, well, they do this to everybody. I get when are we going to start doing something to everybody? It just seems like he's just hanging on. It's not a aggressive mindset. I listened to Nick Saban after his team blew us out. He in them. I see him blow him out this other team. The first interview he got, he's like, they better get their minds right for the team that's coming in. It just seems like it's a different feel or expectation or a standard that the coaches have. And I think Diaz being a coach in learning, I think that's what's hurting him. And it's nothing against him. It's just it's hard to coach on this level. And if it's your first year or your first job, this is a difficult job to have. The last thing I want to talk about, because I know we got thirsty on, was I think Michigan State, this upcoming game, this Michigan State, I think they may do well against that team. If you look at Diaz's struggles, it's teams that can put up offense, throwing the football. Oklahoma State, problem. Clemson, problem. North Carolina was a problem. They ran it, but early in that game, they hit a deep shot. Easy deep shot. Then they ran it. So he is scared against teams that actually can throw it. You go look at those games. He plays soft zones. He doesn't play man as much. His play calling is different. His schemes will work only against the lower ACC teams. When he's playing good teams, he's going to have to rethink that scheme to be successful. And I think it's going to come down to one thing Dabo did do when he got to Clemson. Dabo let he had coaches in place. He changed the coach. He basically said, you know what, the method I have right now is not working, and I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to go out and find somebody who knows what they're doing on defensive side of the ball and offensive side of the ball and let them run it that way. So I think last year, Gary, you alluded to when Baker got fired or let go, whatever. You were saying that this was his defense, and he was, you just couldn't see him letting go Baker because it's his defense. Well, he didn't let the defense go, but he let Baker go. But we really probably getting the same results. If Appalachian State had a better quarterback, we lose that game by 10.
No doubt.
And I think that's where we have to think. I'm not sure if there's a solution. I think we're just going to have to ride it out because they're not going to find nobody after 3 years unless he goes a punk. But they're just going to have to ride it out. I don't know. Fan pressure could be a thing. I'm not huge on it unless it just gets bad like USC was just, it was intolerable there. But, we'll see. And I'll just let you guys have at it. But I want to ask this question. What is, based right now, where we at, what would be a successful season right now? Is it the Coastal? Is it the ACC? Is it 8 games? Is it 9 games? What is, realistically, what will we measure as success? And I'll let you go, Gary, and you can elaborate on that.
All right, let me unpack a lot of what you talked about here and give you my opinions.
Okay.
The first thing I'll say is, to me, there's nothing successful that doesn't result in winning the Coastal and getting to Charlotte. If you're not in Charlotte the first week of December, there's no success. I don't care who tries to spin what, who tries to make what excuse. I'm sorry. This is year 3, and the Canes, need to be in Charlotte. It's like enough already. Okay, that's the first thing I'll say. Now, all that said, I feel like that the last few days have been a little bit of an overreaction by a lot of people. Certainly not defending the way they looked. I didn't think they looked very good either. I was shaking my head most of the game. But Appalachian State is a competent football team, and if you're not a great team yourself, which Miami is not, then they can make you look bad at times. And you're right. If that quarterback had a better day, the way some of those receivers were running free in the secondary, they probably would have won the game, no doubt about it. And but here's what I think we're seeing, Lemuel, right now. I think we're seeing people are a little rattled by what's going on, and those people I'm talking about are the coaches, because you know you went through an entire training camp, and you show up for your first 2 games, and there are mental errors all over the football field. At just about every position. De'Ara King has not always been making the right reads. You know, at running back, I mean, it's not mental errors, but there's times when they break down in pass protection. They're not getting long runs, whether it's the O-line or the backs or whatever. They're not getting long runs in the offense. You know, Garen Justice alluded today to where Rhett Lashley is a little skittish about calling certain things because the execution hasn't been there, and that's affecting his play calling on game day. Well, that's not a very good thing. Offensive line, they're having a lot of mental busts and physical breakdowns. You go through training camp and spring practice, your starting right tackle you decide is DJ Scaife, and by the middle of the Alabama game, you're having to pull him out altogether because he's not holding up. You're having a hard time getting the ball to your tight end, who's a very good player. They can't get the ball to him. You know, so that's just the offensive side of the ball. Now you go to the defensive side of the ball. You've got clear problems at linebacker, Lemuel. You know, your defensive line is showing up as very, very average. You know, I could go on and on and on. The secondary's busting all over the place a lot of the time. Not a recipe to be a really good football team, Lemuel. And that's what we have right now. And I think that's why you're seeing Manny saying some of the things that he's saying when he's talking, and I just think everybody from the top on down is a little rattled right now. And maybe, you know, probably hitting a little bit of a panic button, quite frankly, because these conference games are coming very quickly. And, you know, Virginia's playing good football, and, you know, North Carolina's going to get better than they showed against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is showed up better this year than anybody expected them to be. Pittsburgh's got a veteran quarterback. You know, there's not a lot of layups. I mean, Duke's a layup. I mean, you hope Florida State is, but you got to go on the road, and they played a tough game against Notre Dame. So there's a lot to be rattled about, is my point, and I think that's what you're seeing.
Yeah, you hope. Now, you said something, Gary, about shock, and I'm gonna buy into that, because at the beginning of the year, this goes even to our recruiting strategy. Diaz was so confident in this team that they were saying, well, we're going to slow this recruiting process down. Let it play to the season and after the season, because our team is so good. We're going to be able to impress the Shamar Stewarts, the guy from Arizona, the Bear Alexander kid. We're going to be able to get the top blue chip recruits, because our team is going to be so good, and we're going to show it on the field. And it looked like they are, like you said, they're extremely shocked that they are not what they are. But I'm shocked that they think in that mindset, because I was just listening to something. They were saying Leonard Taylor is not getting a PT or clock because they're very deep at D tackle. So I posed the question, okay, cool. What NFL prospect is at D tackle right now? Anywhere now. I don't see it. Whenever you have to move Zach McLeod, linebacker, and he starts at your defensive end, you're not where you need to be. If you're talking about a top program and you think you're very good, you shouldn't have to move a guy that was unsuccessful, a linebacker, very unsuccessful, and move him to defensive end and think you're going to get the same amount of success on defense. That just doesn't speak to somebody that has the experience in coaching and knowing what a winning program really looks like. And it's not his fault. This is his first gig. So I think that he's uncertain on what he's actually trying to do. He thinks it works one way, but when he gets punched, it doesn't seem like he usually has a counter for it, except for off-season hires. So let you go, Gil.
All right, Lemuel, thanks for getting us started tonight. Great points. I hope I answered your questions
yes, sir.
Sufficiently. All right, man. We'll talk to you next week. At 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. This is a number I recognize. Let's go out to the 845, where I'm pretty sure that Greg is waiting for us. Greg, welcome back to CaneSport Live.
Gary, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, Greg. How you doing?
Wonderful. Another great
You're rattled when things are good, so I can imagine you're really rattled tonight.
Oh, okay. I got a few points here. I did a little research on rivals today. In the last 5 recruiting classes, we've had the 11th, the 6th, the 35th, the 13th, and the 10th. Appalachian State wasn't in the top 100 for the first 3. They were number 90, 99, and number 79, and we're all out to beat this team. What does that tell you, Gary? Our coaches are horrendous, okay? Name me one player besides Greg Rousseau that Manny Diaz has recruited and developed in 6 years. Name me one besides Greg Rousseau. Can you name one?
I mean, I'd have to go through the list, but I mean, if you're talking about identifying and developing like that, yeah, Rousseau would be the example. But look, I mean, I've been consistent on this.
At that level, you should get some players.
I mean, I've been consistent on this for 3 years now. I mean, I think the recruiting rankings are deceiving. I think that the one thing that gets lost is, yes, some of those classes were ranked reasonably well, but if you go back and look at our State of the U series that we did in the summertime, and we broke down all those recruiting classes and how they shaped up and where those kids are, you'll find that in most cases, like half the recruiting class flamed out. So you didn't even have a full recruiting class. Really, the program's been on self-imposed probation. So I think you got a roster problem before you even get to the coaching. And, you can sit there and debate all you want, who's a good coach, who's a bad coach. They're all looking bad right now, obviously. But I think it starts with recruiting. I've consistently said this. I'm not changing my mind. I mean, I think it starts with recruiting, regardless of what the rankings have been. It's the evaluations that have been taking place. Like here's an example. Like all I'm hearing now is all this conversation about mental bus and players maybe not being smart enough to do what they're supposed to be doing and this and that. And okay, maybe some are, maybe some aren't. Maybe, some are just really struggling to pick up things and can't remember what they're supposed to do or whatever. But if you have a well-run program and you're doing evaluations the proper way that you're supposed to do evaluations and in a thorough nature, if a kid is not going to have the capability to master the systems that you're going to have in place when he gets to school, then why are you recruiting him? And that's part of the fundamental problem that I've been talking about for years. It's not good enough. Back in the days when Miami was recruiting great and maximizing its scholarships was, when Butch Davis and Pete Garcia were running the show, and the thoroughness of the evaluations was incredible. It was at an NFL level. And that's what's a big part of what's breaking down right now in this program, in my opinion. And like I said, that's before you even get to whether a coach is a good coach or not a good coach.
Okay, we haven't had a really good linebacker since Denzel Perryman, okay? Mm-hmm. Does Manny Diaz know what the hell a good linebacker looks like? Did you see number 52 on Appalachian State the other night? That's a good linebacker. What?
He played great.
Yeah. Exactly. Manny Diaz, he came out with this comment, "We are a real good football team." What is he looking at? Well, how could you make a statement like that after these 2 games? It's unbelievable.
For the reason I just said, Greg, I think he's a little rattled. I mean, I think he's rattled by the way the team has looked. I think he's rattled by the way the game went the other day. I think he's rattled by the reaction of the community. I think, and when someone's rattled, I think that things come out a little differently than would normally be the case.
Okay. Is the bloom off the rose for Rhett Lashley? What the hell is so special about his offense? Because we run a fast offense once in a while? Does the Eric King ever throw the ball down the middle? Can he see over the line? Is that his problem? I mean, the other day we get the ball on the 35 of App State, and the Eric King takes the ball and just runs up the middle. What the hell kind of offense is that? I mean, Red Lashley is. You said we could average 40 points a game this year. We can't even. We don't even have 40 points in 2 games this year.
I mean, I was judging by what I saw in training camp. I mean, they look sharp.
Who are they going against? Our defense?
They look fast. Well, I mean, that's part of the issue. Yeah, I mean, you don't get a true picture. I mean, you're right about that. If your defense isn't really, really good, sometimes you get a false sense of security by what you're doing on the practice field. And maybe there was a little bit of that in play here. But listen, I mean, there are good, decent players. I mean, Jalen Knighton getting suspended, has obviously hurt the running game a little bit. But Cam Harris is a decent running back. He just really hasn't had anywhere to run. But if you look at like Rambo, I mean, he's showing his quality. Keyshawn Smith, I mean, looks really, really, really good to me. In Harley and Restrepo, you've got a couple decent slot receivers that can do some things. In Mallory, you've got a tight end that should be good enough to make plays. I mean, it's not like there aren't weapons on the offensive side of the football. I mean, there are some. It's just they're not getting the ball to them. They're not maximizing them. And, yeah, that falls on Lashley. I mean, he's really struggled these first few weeks. And I don't know whether some of the lack of execution is getting to him mentally. I don't know. Like, I do feel that he cut back the play sheet for week 2 from week 1 because of all the mental busts. But I don't know, man. I mean, I thought he looked pretty good at times last year, but I agree with you. He's really struggling these first few weeks.
Okay. My last point. You talked about blown assignments. Was there anyone within 20 yards of that receiver on the last touchdown App State scored? Who's making the blown assignments? Gervin Hall and Bubba Bolden, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather see James Williams and Cam Kinchins making those mistakes than those two.
And you might eventually, Greg, but in this case, I'm going to defend Manny because if you put yourself in his shoes and you're sitting there finding yourself in a game that you're losing in the fourth quarter and now you're winning by 2 or whatever, and the game's on the line and one play can win or lose the game for you, you're going to ride with your veterans. You're going to ride with the guys that you expect to know what they're doing. Now, when they let you down, now you're screwed. But any coach is going to go with his experienced guys in those situations. They're not putting a true freshman out there unless they absolutely have no choice.
Okay, 3 more weeks of this, and I'm ready to donate to a plane.
You're going to donate, huh?
I will.
What are you going to put on the banner? What are you going to put on the banner, Greg?
What am I going to put on the?
Yeah, on the banner when you lay out some money.
Blake and Manny, sayonara. That's what I'm going to put on the banner. I'll see you next.
Here's what I'm going to say. They got some big decisions to make here in the next year or so. I mean, if things don't get better with Manny, you're obviously going to have to make decisions there. Larinaga's not getting younger. There's going to probably have to be decisions made there relatively near term. And I think there's a legit question whether the University of Miami can trust Blake James to make those hires. I think the way he handled the last coaching search certainly puts that up for debate. And does that mean that you need a new athletic director? Does that mean you hire a search firm, I guess, to handle all that for you, which I imagine they would do? I'm not really sure how they're going to handle all this, but somebody's going to have to make decisions. And I've been getting a million questions about the Board of Trustees the last couple of days, and everybody's up in arms about the Board of Trustees and the fact that they don't really care about athletics. But, the fact of the matter is they really don't care about athletics very much. And like you would be hard stretched to name 5 trustees that really could care less about the football program and athletics. And that's going to be an interesting issue. Where is the power structure going to land with the Board of Trustees? Does it stay in the hands of David Epstein, who was missing in action when Manny needed him the most? I mean, when Blake needed him the most, when Mark Rick retired, and there was nobody there to say to Blake, whoa, no, you're not rushing into this. You're going to do a proper search. You're going to see who your candidates are for this job. You're going to see what coaches out there will listen to us, and just do a proper, thorough search for the next head coach. Well, obviously that didn't happen, and there was nobody there to tell Blake what I just said. And that fell on David Epstein because he was the member of the Board of Trustees in charge of athletics. And, so he's missing in action. The president couldn't care less. And Blake ramrodded this whole thing through in a couple hours, presumably because there was support building to go out and make a run at Mario Cristobal. And Blake didn't necessarily want any part of that. So, the whole thing was insane. So there's a lot of questions that have to be answered at the University of Miami. The easiest thing would be if the football team started playing well and they won 10 games this year or 9 games, which is still obviously possible. But if that does not happen, there's going to be a lot of pressure on some people to take a look from top to bottom how much this university cares about athletics and cares about football.
Who gave the okay for the $4 million to go to Temple? Did Blake?
It had to be the president.
Oh, the president. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sure the president had to approve that. But he just rubber stamped it. He probably said to Blake, as long as you have a way to pay for it, whatever you think is fine. This is what I hire you for. That was probably the extent of the conversation.
Yeah. Throw in the baseball team too. They suck also. All right.
Wow, Gino DeMari's not going anywhere. He's going to get a chance to get it straightened out. So we'll see what happens there. That's the least of their problems right now, Greg. Baseball's number 3 on the list, but I do think basketball will be better this year.
I hope so. All right.
All right, man. Thank you for being part of the show. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's see. Let's go out now to the 917. You're live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
Hey, what's up, BK Hurricane?
Hey, what's up, BK? How you doing this week?
What's going on, Gary? Hey,
talk
Gary,
to us. What you got? Yeah.
Real quick. Rhett Lashley, right? And I hate to be, pile on. I hate to pile on the guy, right? But
you'll do it anyway.
Right, exactly. Dan Enos' last words are really looking like what was really going on with this team, because Rhett Lashley is looking like Dan Enos, and Dan Enos is not looking like that bad of a coordinator up there in Maryland right now. Mm-hmm. I think it's a talent disparity with the team. We got a lot of these South Miami kids, very athletic. They do what they do, but they might not be the smartest. They might not have the best football acumen in the world. And I'm beginning to see that that's what the problem is, because it was mentioned quite a few times with these mental busts and kids forgetting where they're supposed to be and all this other stuff. So, but what surprises me the most is how Lashley hasn't adapted to that. There's no imagination in play calling. If you're going to dumb it down, at least make it more exciting. Don't run at 3rd and 25 of halfback dive right up the middle, things of that nature. If he has that little trust in what's on the field, I think he really needs to reevaluate if he should be the coordinator here or not. Or Manny needs to reevaluate if he should be the coordinator here or not, because there's a lot of coordinators doing a lot more with less. How do you feel about that?
I think that when things are going poorly and the kids don't know what they're supposed to be doing, I think it throws the whole organization totally out of whack. And I think that if that's the case, I think that the coaches need to take a look at what they've been doing, because it's like when you go through an install in the spring and an install in the fall, and you've repped these things and the kids still don't know what they're doing, and there's mistakes left and right, like that's a problem. And I could see where it would screw up a coordinator, him not knowing what he can call and what is going to be executed properly. But it's very hard to run an offense if your receivers aren't running the right routes, if your offensive linemen aren't blocking the right guys, if things can break down pretty quickly in that scenario.
Russ, do you think that 9 wins is a realistic expectation now? With what you've seen, with the product you've seen on the field,
I think, BK, I think what you saw against Appalachian State is what you're going to see the entire season. I think there's going to be a lot of close games. I think there's going to be a lot of close games. I think there's going to be a lot of games that are decided in the fourth quarter on a couple plays. And I think you're going to win some and you're going to lose some. How many you're going to win, we'll see in November. But I think that this is what we're going to have all year. I think almost every game is going to be close.
If this is what we're going to have all year, and when Manny starts going up against these seasoned coaches like Bronco Mendenhall, Matt Brown, who's the kid from Georgia Tech, Fuentes, it's going to be a problem. And I don't see the Georgia Tech game as a layup anymore either, because they'll just figure out a way to out-scheme Manny. Those are all seasoned coaches, guys.
Yeah, what I just said certainly applies to Georgia Tech also.
Yeah. It's a shame, but do you think we'll pull the trigger the same way USC did? USC did it 2 games in. I think anything under 8 wins, Miami really has to pull the trigger and get rid of Manny Diaz. Because we're going to lose the whole recruiting. We're going to lose the recruiting class if we pull off 6 or 7 wins.
I think you got to take this thing 1 week at a time. I think people are racing ahead, to that kind of stuff. And you're 1-1, 2 games into the season. Everybody knew that we weren't winning against Alabama. I think that people are getting ahead of themselves a little bit with this fire Manny talk and that kind of thing. You don't fire a coach because he didn't meet the style point test in week 2 of the season. If Manny getting fired is going to be a discussion, it would be a discussion towards the end of the year because the season fell apart.
They did it at USC, Gary.
Well, I understand, but that guy was 7 years in, and firing him was a topic of conversation long before last week. They decided to give him one more shot this year and then pulled the plug when they saw that the one more shot wasn't working.
All right, well, hopefully, I don't even know what I want out of this team anymore. I don't know if I want to see 9 wins or do I want to see Manny gone. I don't know what I want more at this point. I really don't, because I don't think Manny's the coach to do it, and I think a 9-win will only prolong our agony.
Yeah. Well, like I've said, I've never felt that he never should. It wasn't fair to put him in this job. He just wasn't. He didn't have the credentials or the pedigree to take a job like this. This is one of the hardest jobs in college football. It never should have happened. But, that said, he's been trying the best he can, but you're just seeing every year. Really, last year, the COVID year, was the year where he looked like least exposed, just because I think everybody was in such a state of flux and everything, and we won the close games. And, we'll see if we win the close games this year. So far, we won the first one.
All right, let's see how it goes. Let's definitely see how it goes. But I'm still on the fence. Do I want 9 or do I want
he won the first one. So you got to see how. I could pretty much guarantee a loss to Michigan State, the season's over. That whole team is going to collapse under the pressure. If we lose to Michigan State on Saturday, the season is over. I would say I would put that if I was going to put that label on something, I would say more like I would put it more on like Virginia than I would Michigan State.
Virginia's a good team. Michigan State was crappy last year. They're pretty decent this year. So a loss to Michigan State leaves me no hope that they're going to beat Virginia, Virginia Tech, or North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, it is what it is. But thanks a lot, Gary.
My caution would be to just take 1 week at a time.
We'll do.
Yeah, 1 week at a time. All right, BK. Thanks for being part of it. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Now let's go to the 786. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Gary, my friend, how are you?
Hey, what's up, everything? How you doing this week?
Doing well, my friend, doing well. And I'm going to try to be the voice of reason here. I want to give it a shot. Let's see how it goes. You mentioned that there are certain people that are frazzled, that are concerned, and you explained the why, and these are our coaches. And, you know, this game is a very simple game. It's about your Jimmies and your Joes. And our best Jimmy on offense, and pretty much the centerpiece of our team, is not playing well. Okay, that's something that's become painfully apparent. I always cautioned when you're coming off of a major injury, it takes a while. Couple that with last year, how it took this kid about 3 games to get comfortable. So when you look at his history thus far, couple that with the injury, what you're seeing is a kid that can't hit passes, as Greg mentioned earlier. He can't hit anything over the middle because he can't see. His out routes, he's been dead on. His post pass, he's hit those balls pretty well, which are one-on-one opportunities for our receivers. But other than that, the most basic concepts of delivering the ball through a series of progressions, he's failing because he's not seeing. And that's why Manny Diaz is rattled. And that's why Rhett Lashley is frazzled. That's it in a nutshell. And it has a domino effect on your team. And I'm not making this as the entire team is De'Aaron, but he's a major component of our success last year. We would all agree on that. And when we didn't do well, he was a major part of our failure. And the same thing has become painfully apparent this year. So what Rhett's trying to do is simplify things as best as possible. And, yes, he's frustrated, but he really has no other choice. You're going to live and die with this kid. The only thing that could help is if he does so poorly that, or gets nicked up a little bit that they have an excuse to validate playing somebody else a little bit. But De'Aaron King right now is not playing well. He is missing reads everywhere. And I'm not making excuses for Coach Lashley, Gary. I'm not. But I think that's become apparent to me. I don't know if you agree with that, but that's what I'm seeing right now.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, I don't think De'Aaron's playing great, but I think that part of the reason he's not looking great is because how poorly everything is breaking down around him. Like, O-line, receivers, like nothing is in sync right now for this team, and that'll make any quarterback look bad. And a coordinator look bad, too.
You're going to continue to see defenses do the same thing to them. I sent you a DM a couple of days ago, and I said, listen, this is what a really good friend of mine pointed out, one of his best buddies who was, an NFL analyst. He's like, listen, this is what I'm seeing. And the easiest thing to do is what they did the second half. That was the major adjustment App State made. They pretty much dropped Dave most of the time. They would give you the 30, 40 yards to play with, and after that, they sunk everything down, and if he couldn't make something happen with his feet, it wasn't going anywhere. He's getting stuck on his first read big time, and he's not allowing things to develop. Could that be a major part of the inefficiency of the offensive line? It could be, but he's had time. Gary, there was one point where they were just bringing 3, and he had all day in the pocket, and he panicked, and he ran to the right, and he forced a play a pass he shouldn't have thrown, Luckily, it wasn't intercepted. But there's a lack of patience there. So until we get De'Eric right, this is going to continue to be the same situation. And losing Chaney doesn't help at all. Losing, Knighton, I get all those things. Those guys are not going to make the difference here in winning or losing. It's going to be under center or in the shotgun, however you want to term that. So that's what I'm looking at. In terms of, firing Manny, look, you criticized me about 3 years ago when I brought this up to you, Gary, and I told you the BOT doesn't care. We have a guaranteed series of checks that come in every month and 2 major paydays, okay, every year. They don't care.
Yeah, but I don't think they care about that either, quite frankly. They don't care about they care that the athletic department is self-sufficient. No, they care that the department is self-sufficient.
They can pay their own bills. Correct. And the reason they're able to do that is because they're a member of this conference. And everything has gone their way with regards to the ACC network and all those things. Everything has worked out perfectly. They can pay their own bills. They're self-sufficient. I explained this to you guys a long time ago, 3 or 4 years. I was attacked. And I told you all the same thing. They don't care. And the one person that should care, he's only concerned about what Daddy Damari wants and doesn't want, and Grandpa Damari wants and doesn't want, and that's all he's concerned with. He doesn't care about anything else. Let's be up front. When I broke the story a couple years ago about the situation with Alonzo and potentially with Mario, everybody went ahead and balked at it, and the next few days it was a reality. And the one guy on the BOT plays the game. He plays the game perfectly. It's the same guy you mentioned earlier. He set everything up, and then he backed off like it wasn't him. Oh, I'm just bringing this to your attention. He does the same thing. He has historically let us down because he doesn't care. He just tries to make everybody happy and then backs off. And as a coward, he lets everybody else figure it out. I'm not going to mention the name because I don't want any issues down the road, but you can deduce what I'm saying.
Why would you have issues? I mean, if that's who you're talking about, well, that's the trustee who's in charge of athletics.
I'd rather not. I'd rather not go there, Gary. Let's just leave it at that.
Well, but the thing is, if he doesn't care, he shouldn't be in that position. Everything. That's all. I mean, it's like if you're going to be the board of trustees liaison for athletics, you have to care.
Well, then we're definitely in town helping make a decision when what hits the fan. Okay? And that's not the case, and it's never going to be the case. It's a sham. It's a sham what's going on. And what they do to this loyal fan base, okay, you mentioned a couple of weeks ago how much money we spent up in Atlanta. This is ridiculous. So now the guy who can't make the right decision is going to be in charge of making the next hire in any major sport? That's preposterous. He has the means to make decisions. You either have a set of you-know-what or you don't, and you make the best decision. And if it's sometimes out of your scope, then fire me on it. But if we win, you'll be praising me. And that's the type of mentality Sam used to have. He made a lot of enemies, but after we started winning, until things got a little bit bad in the Fiesta Bowl, everybody loved Sam, and everybody wanted to give money because of Sam. But he took a lot of heat with some of the choices he made. So until the ultimate person is replaced with someone that is competent, someone that has at least some type of resume like a Bowlesby, until you get someone like that understands South Florida, this ain't going to get any better. In regards to firing him, they're not going to fire him. Who wants the job? Who wants to work at a place that doesn't care about football? Mike Farrell today put out on Twitter how Cristobal's the guy. Buddy, you're late to the party. He was the guy 2 years ago when this guy was exposed in his first year. And and again, Blake wanted no part of it. All over a disagreement at a high school up in the Treasure Coast when Mario told the guy who's on staff right now to F off, this is my state, and when I come, you sit until I'm done. And that's what all this is about with Mario and Blake and Al Golden. And that's why we're in the situation today. It's not Manny's fault, Gary. You've been so on point with this.
It's absolutely not Manny's
his fault. But there's a time and a place where you as a man have to move on, and I think he's getting to that place because he knows you win 7-8 games, he knows he ain't getting anybody. Guess what, Gary? These kids that we have that are high-profile kids that are freshmen, they're gone. Think they're going to wait around for this shit show to continue to evolve into a major catastrophe? They're not going to stick around. So we got to make some choices, man. And the worst thing we can do is bail out on the kids right now. So at least for the kids' sake, let's be there for them because they do care. They are working their butts off. And Manny's right about one thing, Gary. Those kids are competing and busting their ass in practice. I do know that for a fact. They're working, man. They're working.
Yep. No, they are. They're trying. I mean, they want to be good.
And I think he's got to let Greg made a great point. Younger kids got to play. Why would I stay if I'm Leonard Taylor right now? I'm not going to get any better. Listen, if Manny was smart, he'd figure out that the kid from New York can play strong side end for you. You make a couple of small adjustments scheme-wise, and you're getting your best 4 athletes in your front 7. It's not just about your scheme. It's about the best athlete that can cause the most disruption. And there's no problem bringing him to the rotation and putting Harrison Hunte at strong side end. And instead of having the 2 guys stand up, just have 4 and bring an extra DB in, which we're doing anyway. There's some basic changes he has to make. Now, a smart coach figures this out. You know, when he talked about Avery Huff yesterday or today, I was shocked. His explanation was he's fast, he's physical. Doesn't always know where he belongs, but he's fast and physical. Barry, I could tell you most college football programs have 2 or 3 guys in the 10-man rotation that play in the front 7 that are like that because they're aggressive. And their ability to be aggressive and explosive will force the offense to turn the ball over or to make bad decisions. They might get beat here and there, but you're going to get beat anyway. So you might as well stay with the aggressive mentality that you've been preaching for 8 months. He's got to look himself in the mirror and say, screw it, we got to go. There comes a point in time, Gary, where you're looking at the bully and he's right in the middle of the alley, and you got to get to the other side of that alley to get home. And you got to go through that bully.
Yeah, well.
He's got to get through it. He's got to get through it. If he doesn't.
If you think Manny's going to wave the white flag and say, I can't do this, I'll step aside the way Mark Richt did, you're dreaming. I don't see that happen. But
I don't think he will. But he's got to follow through with what he's preached. You can't tell 17 to 23-year-old young men every day, conditioning them mentally to be of a certain aggressive mentality, and then let's play safe. That's not going to work, Gary. That's not going to work. And you see the frustration that Tyreek Stevenson is having. Look at the blog he put on. He's being great on the blog. He's not throwing it all out there. But look how pissed off he was. Because he knows that playing passive, you're going to get
pissed off. Who said he's pissed off?
During the game, barking at his teammates. Oh, he at least on 3 of those breakdowns, he ate up Gervin Hall. He ate up DJ Ivy on one call. There's no doubt about it. He was livid. Watch the game. Go back to the tape, especially the last touchdown they scored. He went berserk, and he's right because these guys, they're playing passive. He's playing aggressive. I'd rather take an aggressive error over a passive loss any freaking day of the week. And that's what Manny's always preached. But look at the game plans that we've been doing defensively. We're playing to keep the ball in front. What? I mean, what kid that he's got to commit in the last 3 months is saying, oh, yeah, that's what he's talking about. No, they're saying, hey, man, that's not when I came here. That's to the visit, and we broke down film. We taught and we looked at technique, and they worked me out. That's not what I'm seeing happening right now. And you can't lie to a kid and say, well, we're doing it this way because of their skill level. You can't lie to kids, Gary. You can't.
All right,
so
everything.
You've got to figure it out in a hurry.
All right, man. Thanks for being part of the show as always.
Be well, Gary. Take care.
You got it. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go out to the 973. You are live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
Gary.
What's up, Mr. Ross? You got in early tonight. You must have a lot on your mind.
Too many.
All right, take the floor. Go.
Let's start by saying, listen, on a day when it's supposed to be joyous and happy and looking forward to the opportunity to keep recruiting extra players because they're going to open up the floodgates and allow teams to recruit more than 25, it's actually not going to be very good for us, at least right away, because now teams have an opportunity to come and pluck the guys that's already committed to us because we look like dogs doo-doo. Okay? You got guys who are dropping balls. I don't hear about nothing that's not being Manny's fault. Guess what? He's in the gravy. You're sitting at the table, buddy. You decided that you want to eat. So if you're going to take a seat, it's all your fault. So all this talk, I like Mr. Everything. I like everybody else. But I'm not going to fall in line with it's not his fault. He took the money, took the opportunity. He's sitting at the table. So guess what? When your tight end drops the ball, because he's supposed to be a big-time tight end, he's not supposed to walk past you coming off the field. I'm watching other coach. That's one of the things I love is that I really love college football. I'm glad I like college football because I get to watch college football played well before and after we play. When I watch we play, I'm watching a circus. I'm watching guys not being prepared to punch the next team in the teeth. I'm watching my tight end drop a ball, and he's not getting ripped for it. I'm watching our defensive line shooting the wrong gaps, and they're not being taken to the showers for it. Are you kidding me? I'm watching other teams play, and when these guys are walking off the field, I don't care if it's their position coach or whatever, they're getting inside their ass. They're being questioned and coached every single snap. Now, I was thinking the other day after the loss, the next day I was saying, man, I wonder what T. Rob must be feeling like when he's showing up at the facility and he's on his way to work and he's saying, man, I've been at several jobs, big-time jobs. When I was at South Carolina, I probably didn't win every game, but I know what it looked like to actually watch a football game from where my position is at and watch just a clean game of winning and losing. You don't watch the Miami Hurricanes right now and watch us play a clean game of winning and losing. This is nonsense. We're asking an unathletic offensive lineman, number 55, to go and make a block out in space that he's not capable of. You know why? Because he's not in shape. He's not moving. He's not even doing his job. He's not even moving anybody off the line. The other night I'm watching Missouri, Kentucky, and I couldn't take my eyes off the freaking screen because I'm watching football. They're throwing haymakers at each other, and guys are blocking schemes. Tight ends are catching balls. They look like an outfit. You know, I'm real big on that word. We don't look like an outfit. We don't look like we know what we're doing. Our defense is always, now here's the thing, they're always out of position. And then Mr. Blades, who's a legacy kid, and Mr. Hyvee, you guys have been here long enough. I'm watching a guy return a kick. You got him on the sideline. You got to strike him. They're watching to see first. It's embarrassing, Gary, because they're waiting for the kicker to make the play. And these guys play an aggression position. They're defensive backs at trade. That's their trade. They're D-backs. I mean, you're supposed to be striking, right? You're supposed to be bringing the force. Knock it behind out of bounds. They're allowing the kicker to make the play. Thank God he didn't get hurt on that play because we wouldn't have won the game. Now let's go to something else that I know Manny. I know Manny got to be really thinking, hey, I'm getting away. I tricked them all. I'm getting away with everything. I'm getting away with the bag. Because here's the thing. Halftime, they asked him a question. He says, well, one of the young guys made a mistake on the kick. You know what he's talking about? He's talking about the kicker. Don't blame. That's a sucker move. Don't blame it on the kicker that he didn't kick it. He's giving you so many outer kickoffs that haven't been returned. Don't throw him under the bus on this one. If you're going to talk like that, talk about your veterans who won't make the plays. So here's the thing, Manny. I'm watching. Hey, Gary, come on now. I'm watching Pittsburgh. I'm watching all these other teams that we're going to play just playing ball. Pittsburgh went to Tennessee. I don't care if it was a ruckus atmosphere, loud, intense, and they played ball. We're not ready to play ball. Every position, we just look bad. We can't block. Our offense. Oh yeah, let's get to Derek King. I promise you, I don't know why I forgot to even bring this up. Guess what, Gary? And you're not gonna like it, and most people are not gonna like me saying this. He's not that guy. And I don't want number 9 to be checked into the game either, because he ain't that guy either. Because when I watch backup comes in the game, they don't run 3 times in a row. Okay? King can't make your NFL throws. We know that. So you don't roll him out to make certain plays.
I mean, he made NFL throws against, I'm thinking of one game, NC State last year. He made a couple NFL throws.
Hey, guess what? Guess what, Gary? Guess what? He definitely did. But here's the thing. When you know you have certain things that's going on the offensive line, you told us all summer. You told us all summer that Scaife was ready. You did the oh shit type of correction. Oh, I got to switch him out immediately, right? They need to do that to number 55 too. At the end of the day, he's blowing the cash. He's blowing his cash and he's blowing the team cash. So you need to flip him out of there too. And there's another player that gets away with murder every game since he's been playing, and no one refused to bring him up because you know why? He lines everybody up properly on offense. That center is being bulldozed every play. I watched the game carefully. He's being dragged every play. He's a soft middle guy. He has no push. So that makes the right side of the offensive line look like trash. It looks bad right now. So it's making our offensive coordinator be timid. But when you're being timid, Derek King made a play, Gary. He threw the ball. I think it was Smith. He had to take a knee to catch the ball. He had to take a knee, so when he caught the ball, he had to stay there because you're down. So I don't want to hear it's not Manny's fault. It is his fault. He is the leader. I'm watching a team. It's like watching a human being. I hate to say this. It's like you being on dock somewhere, and you're watching a human being drown, and you can't go save the person because you don't want to drown yourself. I can't even send McMahon a life raft right now because he looks bad. Mm-hmm. He looks nervous, Gary. He looks like he wants somebody to take him out of his misery. Are you kidding me? Michigan State coming in. They're going to look to, the one thing we got going for that game? Thank God it's a 12 o'clock game, and they might not be ready for the weather. That's what we got to hope. Mm-hmm. After the second quarter, they're dragging their tongues out their mouth. Because if that's not going to be the case, guess what we're going to be? We're going to be unprepared again. Gary, at the end of the day, I'm just tired of watching my team being unprepared and don't look like everybody else that's around. You know what I'm saying? You got Tulane that's playing better ball than you right now, Gary. Let's admit it, man. Let's admit it. Let's just call the spade a spade. You got Tulane and some of these other teams playing better than you.
Yeah. I mean, like you mentioned, Pittsburgh. They're going to probably be 5-0. They're going to be certainly 4-0 going. They're going to be 4-0 going to Georgia Tech.
That quarterback looked like he's been around 9 years. Okay, you think I'm happy when I hear the commentator says Derek King is 24 years old? You think I'm proud of that? You think I'm happy about that? I'm scared to death. He's like 24 years old. He needs to be better. Injury or no injury, guess what? If he's not ready, this is the University of Miami. Thanks for taking the $1,000 you're earning, but we got to put the right guy in there. We're trying to win ball games here because you know what? If we don't win ball games, these defensive backs that's committed to us are going to go.
What would you have said if I had told you that Coastal Carolina would be ranked 8 spots ahead of Miami in the poll going into week 3 of the season? What would you have said?
You're 100% right. Again, what I'm saying is when you watch them play, you could actually watch a game and say, okay, they're going to lose the game. They're going to look like an outfit. They're going to do the things that football teams do, but they're just about to lose this game. Look at freaking Kentucky. Kentucky's a basketball school, and they look better than Miami. Like I said,
it's going to be it's going to be interesting. I hope they start playing better this week. I really do, Ross, because I mean we got a long way to go here.
Can I ask a question? Anything that I said tonight, I'm wrong about, and it included the center. He's getting blown up every game. You know, I know you don't like when people do this. I know you're going to get on me. You're going to hang up on me on this one.
No, I'm not going to get on you. You haven't said anything wrong. Everything you're saying is
I'm about to say it. I'm about to say it. The offensive line got my running back hurt.
Oh, I don't know about that, but go ahead.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if you could say that.
Watch the play. I'm tired of getting blown up in the backfield. And you remind me, you're playing. We outweighed them by 300 pounds. But Gary, come on, you can't tell me number 55 don't need to be replaced. Hey, family members, if you're listening, I apologize.
No, I mean the coach called them out today. I'm going to play it in a few minutes here. You'll hear it. I mean, he called him out today.
Don't call him out. Replace him. Send a message.
They might replace him. They might.
Is behind.
They might.
Because you know why? I'm tired of you not creating holes, buddy. Well, hey Gary, why am I going in the red zone? Miami's the only team. When you get into the red zone, you're thinking, "Wow, hey man, I'm really lucky if we score." We need to celebrate if we score a touchdown. I mean, more than they're normal. I'm gonna let
All right,
you go.
Ross, you got anything else tonight?
Yeah, man, just want to shout out my regulars. You know, Mr. Everything.
Yeah, you don't have to give everybody shout outs. I mean, do you have any other topics?
Hey man,
you
I got to. D Black and all them guys.
All right, Ross.
I just want to keep me on hold.
Everyone who's your boy, they know that they know. You don't have to mention.
Yeah, we're right, Gary.
Did you have any other topics on your list tonight?
Yes, he needs to be fired.
Because I know you got cut off short the last couple of weeks, so I want to give you your
We good. You know we good. We're good.
You good?
Keep me on hold. He needs to be fired.
All right, man.
He needs to be replaced.
All right, you got it. Give us a call next week. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go to the 941. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hello, Gary. You know who this is.
The Mikester Kane. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good.
Besides being rattled.
Do you have a song? You have a song for us this week yet?
Oh, Appalachian team damn near beat our Kings, and it wasn't very pretty, but we got the win. That's all. I just made that up.
I was going to say, because we're missing the guitar and drums for sure.
Yeah, I know. We're missing the guitar and drums. Yeah. Well, my drummer's wife is in some, having some tests done. There's something wrong with her, but that's another story. Anyway, I just want to give a shout out to Kane, that deal there. He shouted out to me last show there, and a couple of things I want to point out. Honestly, I don't know, Gary. I'm rattled myself about this. I was at the game Saturday, okay, and after seeing what I saw, blown assignments, terrible coverage, line not blocking, wrong play calling, a second and 10 running up the middle. I mean, come on, man, come on. I mean, that's not acceptable, But this season, I don't know, man. Not feeling good about it. I hope I'm wrong, but I got a gut feeling about that. Anyway, look, I think Appalachian State did come out to play. They are dangerous. And look, they almost upset Penn State a few years ago. They beat South Carolina. It was either last year or the year before. They had a game plan, and they could have pulled it off. So you never want to underestimate your opponent. They were a feisty bunch, and being at the game Saturday night, I saw that in their body language. And here's an example of what I saw. Running the ball up the middle in second and long situations, I would have called shotgun, quarterback dive at 0, fake left, tight end throwback at 7 wheel route. Mallory being on the left side next to King, he runs the wheel route. King fakes fakes the dive up the middle, steps back, throws to Mallory, touchdown. Left side of the field was completely open on that one play. Mental error. That's my opinion. Second thing, all right, do you remember the interview that you did with Blake James 3 years ago? I think you remember. Do you remember it?
Yeah, a few years ago, yeah.
Yeah, a few years ago. You asked him, what if you're wrong about Manny being the best candidate for the job? Well, I got an answer for that. He's way, way, way over his head. I mean, it's not fair to put him in that position. You're absolutely right about that. And depending on how the season plays out, I hope they win 10 games. It's a possibility. But, I got a gut feeling. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Well, there's going to need to be some decisions to be made after the season. That's what I got to say about that sort of thing right now.
Well, it's still early. I think we got to see how it goes.
Yeah, you're right. And here's the thing. I'm looking at the recruits for Appalachian State. 2017, they had nothing but 2-star recruits, all right? I'm looking on here. Here's a class of 18, nothing but 2-star recruits. Class of 19. Let's see if it'll pop up here. There it goes. Yeah, here's a couple 3-star recruits, 5.5 on the rating. Let's go back to 2021. Here, let's see, that'll pull that up. There it goes. 79th ranking, 2-star recruits, 1 3-star, 2 3-star, 3. Okay, highest ranking 5.5. We were playing against that kind of team right there. Okay, and I know they said they came prepared and they were throwing everything but the kitchen sink at us and the cat and all that. But look, Manning's just over his head. I think, in my opinion, that Mario Cristobal, I think, is the perfect candidate for the job. I really believe that. He knows the South Florida area. He knows how to recruit. He's done a phenomenal job recruiting Oregon. They're 4th in the country right now, and they're in the class of 22 rankings. Let me pull it up here if I can.
All right, Mikester, I gotta let you run because we've got Leon Searcy on the line ready to come on the show.
Give a shout out to Leon. Give a shout out to Leon for me, all right? You take care.
You got it, man. Yeah, we'll talk to you next week.
Yep, you bet.
All right, guys, it's going to be time for our Point Counterpoint segment. We'll have the voice of the fan, Bruce Warner, coming on, and with our special guest tonight, Mr. Leon Searcy. A lot of offensive line talk and everything else. Before we get to them, I did want to take a second here. Earlier in the show, I mentioned Garin Justice today, met with the media, and had some animated things to say about the performance of his offensive line and some of the individuals who have been playing and some of the problems they've been having. And I want Leon to hear it too, so I'm going to go ahead and play it first, and then I'll bring Leon and Bruce on.
Yeah, first week I thought that we left the game with a lot of positives. Still, it's a very, very big challenge we had the first week, and it didn't play well enough naturally to win. I thought the last week was a really, really poor performance on our part. It's not a want to, it's not an effort, it's not a physical. It's most of it just a lack of communication. So, the bad news is we got to fix it. Good news is we can. So I feel we still got to figure out the right side. Our right side's not playing good ball, what we want it to be, and it's between Devon Donaldson, Justice Oluwaseun, DJ Scape, Jared Williams. Like, those 4 guys are probably the 4 that we got to try and figure it out with. I think the biggest thing, he just plays out of his pads. He plays too high right now. Plays too high, and then just has some mental breakdowns that are inexcusable. It's the biggest thing, and we love Navon, and Navon's been a big part of this program for a long time, but he's got to play better, and now I've got to coach him better. So we're still trying to tinker, play with that, see what happens. I feel that Jalen Rivers he's the freshman, he's the guy you worry about because he's the young guy, the most inexperienced, and he's played the best ball of anyone the first 2 weeks. Corey's been solid. Zion still, you can see Zion missed his 2 weeks. He missed a lot of camp, and it's showing in his game right now. So we got to be better. We got to be better all around. We know that. There's no excuses with that, but that's the reality. That there are reasons why that happened, but those are just excuses at the end of the day. So we got to get them fixed. And what we can do and control is today. And today was a good practice. The first week, really the first week of the August camp, I thought DJ Scaife had as well of an August practice as anyone had. He was our best tackle. Now that was partly considering Zion was out most of the month, but I thought DJ had a really, really good month of August, and he had earned that right, and really had one of the better springs of all the tackles. That's with John Campbell before the injury, Zion, all those guys included. So I felt that, and he got taken advantage of early on in the Alabama game, and we can't get our quarterback hurt and can't get him hit, and that's what was happening. So that's why we pulled him. And Jared, I love Jared. It was just we felt that DJ had outperformed him at the time, and then Justice was a guy that we had brought Justice in to be a guard, and then when Zion was out all of August camp, we had to play at tackle just to get some guys to play at the tackle position, and he played really, really well in August. So it's just there was at the time we just felt that Justice was still playing a little better than Jared, and that's why we made that switch. We liked the way Justice came in the Alabama game and competed and did. We thought we did some nice things, and that's why we gave him the nod against Appalachian State. So neither Vaughn nor Justice played winning football last Saturday night by any means. So we got to keep exploring what are those options, and Jared is definitely in consideration for those options. Yeah, the way I look at it right now, it's a right guard Justice Vaughn in the Vaughn battle, and then at right tackle it's a DJ Jared conversation. We got to get it right. We got to perform. We got to get the results. So if it's play them both and figure out what combination works best, but we're not there yet, and a lot of it is we missed those reps in August, and unfortunately, and it's still not good enough. We got to do better. We've got to do as an offensive line, we've got to do everything we can to develop trust so Coach Lashley can feel like he can call what he needs to call. If you call an outside run and you get burnt and you get hit for a loss, as a play caller, it's like touching a hot stove. You go, maybe I don't want to call that again. So I think it's not that we don't want to call outside runs. It's I feel like he's been burnt, and so like we know like at least we're getting stuff to move forward. So I think that's really a question for Coach Lashley. But we've got to do our part as an O-line. We've got to do our part as an offense. Regardless of what's called, we give that play caller confidence that he can call what he needs to call. And ultimately, that's my fault as a coach. I got to keep coaching them better. I got to keep being a better coach for those guys. Our kids can't hang their heads. We still are going to be a good offensive line. Have we played it yet? No, we haven't by any means played it yet. But we've got to build the confidence up in these guys and make sure they can show out and have a nice game on Saturday.
Leon Searcy, Bruce Warner. I used the word rattled earlier in the show. Welcome to CaneSport Live. Could I have come up with a more appropriate term to classify, what we're seeing right now from the coaches as we go into week 3 of the season?
Leon, are you rattled?
Yes.
Are you rattled, man?
I've never been rattled, but what I'm trying to figure out is he said that there were some good spots in the Alabama game. I'm trying to figure out what spots were there good in the Alabama game. I didn't recognize any good spots. I recognized the offensive line that was overwhelmed by defensive front in Alabama. I mean, we couldn't even listen. It's something that you can just get a stalemate. If you watch the majority of the game, Alabama's defensive front is in our backfield, and there's no get off. There's no physicalness. Everybody's trying to play assignment football. Nobody's coming off the rock. No one's being physical. No one's being nasty. And quite frankly, if you watch the game, our offensive line was intimidated by Alabama. They took it to us on both sides of the ball, running the ball and in pass protection. I saw so many guys, and I used to call it abandoned ship, so many guys who get overwhelmed by defense, they just let their defense just go to hell. I mean, let their technique and fundamentals just go to hell. That just lets you know that they played scared. They blocked scared. But I was especially watching the right side of the offensive line. I mean, they couldn't stop a twist. I mean, they couldn't get any real push on the run game or pass protecting. I mean, it was just an atrocity. I mean, no disrespect to Coach Justice, but I mean, I don't get to sit down and watch film the way he watched film, but I watch the damn TV,
and I watched this offensive line in 2 weeks do the same old thing that I've been seeing.
Yeah,
you know
talk about the App State game, Leon, because we know Alabama kicked their ass.
Yeah, the App State game was the same thing. You know what? University of Miami, University of Miami is like that used car that you see every year, and every year you go by the car and you see upgrades and it's got new functions, and when you get in the car, it's the same old car. every year you think that, this is the year, we're making some changes, we're doing this, you're doing that. Well, it's the same damn ride, in my opinion. I'm seeing the same stuff that we struggled with 2 years ago, a year ago, we're still struggling with this year. We can't run the ball, we can't protect the passer, we can't stop the run, we can't give up the big plays. And it's just, it just looks dysfunctional to me, to be quite honest with you.
Dumb penalties.
Penalties, all kind of stuff.
Mental errors, bad angles.
It's troublesome to me because, I take a great deal of pride in being an offensive lineman, and that's probably one of the positions that I'm a stickler on. And I hold University of Miami players there to a higher standard because I knew what it took to be an offensive lineman. You got to be tough, you got to be gritty, you got to get your hands dirty. You can't worry about any fanfare, any love. You don't get any respect. You don't get any attention. But you just go about your job and diligently kick ass for 60 minutes. And I don't see that. I don't see that with this offensive front. And listen, I always believe this. The offensive line sets the table for everybody to eat. It sets the table for everybody to eat, your quarterback, your running back, your wide receivers. So if you want to know why the offense has been struggling over the last couple of weeks, it's because the offensive line is not getting it done. They set the table for everybody to eat. And that's the reason why this offense has flooded over the last 2 weeks.
Hey, Leon, and Gary will ask a question in a minute, but I just was on my mind. So, these guys are there. This is the offensive line now. But there are 4 guys that are there: Reed, Campbell, Herbert, and Hillary, all like in their 3rd or 4th year at the school, all like 4-star guys that everybody wanted. And those guys can't even get off the goddamn bench. So, if now you look at the guys that are there, they weren't all heralded. Navon Donaldson was, but I don't know about the rest of them. Rivers was, but what are they doing wrong? Is it all 5 of these guys, or is it one guy blowing the whole thing for everybody? What do you think?
Well, it's a combination of all 5. Listen, the offensive line is like 5 fingers for a fist. If one guy is not getting it done, the whole thing goes to crap. So these 5 guys, and I don't understand why the second week in the season they're still. Listen, offensive line is, you got to have camaraderie. So you've got to have your best 5 on the field, period. And you've got to work with those best 5 on the only time you should be rotating guys throughout the game is if a guy gets hurt. I've never just rotating guys in and out of the offensive line because of you need to have your best 5 on the field. And you got to
but do they have 5? He just explained why Scaife's not playing. That's the 5th name. That's the 4 I mentioned.
Scaife was the best guy at right tackle in the spring and fall camp, and then in the Alabama game he couldn't handle it.
He couldn't. You talking about the right tackle?
Yeah,
the right tackle. Yeah, they had to pull him.
Yeah. He struggled in that game. And he abandoned ship because I could tell when he was going up against that defensive end, he was beating him around the corner. So instead of living and dying by your technique and fundamentals, he just started, opening up and turning his hips and not taking his kick set, not using his hands, not being physical. And that guy he had a day on him. I feel sorry for the kid, but that's the only way he's going to learn until he learns to live and die by his fundamentals and his techniques, which needs to be taught, by the way, needs to be taught thoroughly. And you need to have your best 5 on the field at all freaking times. It's just disheartening to see this team not live up to his expectations. Every year I hear how great Manning recruits top 10, and I'm sure he does an outstanding job. But if you're getting 4 and 5 star recruits every year, and somehow they're not being developed, that doesn't translate well onto the football field. So I was a 2-star recruit at Miami. And I was coached by some damn good offensive line coach that got me right, Coach Keogh and Tony Wise. And I did not step on the field until I was damn sure ready to not ever step off the field. So that's the kind of mindset and mentality you got to have with the offensive line. You got to make damn sure that whoever those top 5 you put out there, they're going to be out there for the long haul. and not to be rotating guys based upon performance. No, you need a 5-star stud across the board from tackle to tackle to get it done in the run game and in the pass game. And there needs to be an emphasis on it because it just smells right now. Those last 2 games, the offensive line just smell real bad. It just no physicalness, assignment football. Everybody's trying to position block. Nobody's coming off the ball. No one's being physical. Nobody's being nasty. I got to see more of that, and it's disheartening to watch that. Watch those guys underperform because I'm pretty sure those guys are super talented guys, but for whatever reason, on the big stage, they just don't show up.
All right, Leon, let me take you back to square one of what we just heard. And I very rarely do you hear a coach speak candidly like that. Coaches don't do that. I loved every minute of it because he was speaking the truth. And maybe he was purposely trying to light a little match under his guys by mentioning them by name. But your thoughts. You've played for a long time. Obviously, you coached. Your thoughts about what you heard in that regard.
Well, I mean, I could appreciate what Coach did by taking them behind the woodshed when they're not playing well. I mean, you can't have any onion skin at this level at the University of Miami. You got to call guys out. I mean, but it's got to be more than just a verbal assault. Somehow you got to get through to them in practice that this kind of play will not be tolerated. I don't know what you can do. I don't know if it oversteps some of the NCAA rules or something like that. But you've got to get back to the basics. You got to get back to, stance, get off, rolling the hips, coming off the ball, being physical, being nasty. I don't know, whatever you need to do, but I'm not seeing enough of that when I'm watching Miami play over the last couple of weeks. I'm not seeing the offensive line take it to the defensive front. I'm seeing the offensive line, at best, we get stalemates. At very best, we get stalemates. And that's just not acceptable. You got to have you need 5 dogs that can hunt up front, that can get it done on a week-to-week basis. That's the only way the offense is going to be able to excel if the offensive line is physical on the run and is as diligent in the pass protection.
But Coach Justice just said, and Gary repeated it, that Scaife had a great spring and it was great in July. So who thought that he was going to play like this against Alabama and get pulled? Probably not Justice. So you said they may have had the 5 best guys, but he just put his tail between his legs and took off. And who knows when he's getting back in the lineup. So it's kind of hard to gauge if they have 5 really good offensive linemen based on the 4 that I mentioned before. Now Scaife, and if Jared Williams is so good, how come he didn't come back and come into the game? Wasn't it the UNLV transfer, Gary, that played the right tackle the other day?
Yep.
So where's Jared Williams? He's like
well, Jared Williams hasn't played yet this year, and now what they're going to do is they're going to move Justice back to guard, which is where they intended for him to play this year in the first place.
And take out who? Donaldson?
He's competing with Donaldson to play right guard. Yes.
Okay. So who's going to be the starting right tackle? Jared Williams?
It'll be Jared Williams to DJ Scaife.
Maybe if they both played at the same time and we have 12 on the field, it might work. But other than that, I just don't see it. Right, Leon?
I mean, they're grasping. I mean, they're going into week 3 and they're grasping, trying to figure out what they want to do, and that's obviously not the blueprint.
Yeah, well, it's hard to be successful, but the quarterback's got some issues too, whether it's health issues, mental issues, I don't know.
I tell you what, they put me on salary. Maybe I can help them out because right now I don't get paid enough to try to help them figure it out. That's why they get paid the big bucks. They figure they need to figure this thing out. I mean, you still got an opportunity to win the Coastal. I mean, North Carolina went down. Looks like Virginia is Virginia taking the Coastal? Yes, they are in the Coastal. I mean, we still got an opportunity. There's still a goal at hand, even though they played they won the game. Listen, they won the game last week against Appalachian State. Good. Alabama really doesn't hurt us. But listen, the goal is still win the Coastal. That should be the mindset right now. We got to get better so we can win the Coastal. We have an opportunity. It's right in front of us. I mean, North Carolina is not unbeatable. You saw what just Virginia Tech did to them. We've got a schedule set up for us to win the Coastal and possibly go into the ACC championship game, more than likely against Clemson. So, I mean, whatever they're dealing with, whatever emotions they're dealing with, I don't know if they're still a little sore from the Alabama beating. They need to get over that. They need to get over it, understand that they got lucky to win this Appalachian State game. You got to move. Now we're moving into after we Michigan State, we're going to be moving into conference play. This thing is still wide open for us.
Yeah,
you know?
Leon, so, you mentioned all the problems with the offensive line that you saw, or the lack of certain things that they weren't doing. So how do you fix that in a week? Can you do it in a week, or are they so discombobulated and not really doing what they're supposed to be doing that they may not have learned in the last 8 months? And this is not really the time to start teaching them all these things. But the way you said it, it seems as if you said go back to square one. Hey, this is week 3. Why aren't they better than this as a unit? Just because Scaife isn't there?
I don't know. I just know this, that the mindset has to be during the week that we're going to be a physical offensive line. Whatever drills you got to do, whatever you got to do before practice or after practice to get these guys to understand that they got to be a physical offensive line and that this offense does not move unless they play better. The onus is on them. And they got to understand that they got to be playmakers. The thing that's troubling to me more so than anything is that Derek King seems to be the only playmaker on the offense right now. I mean, if he doesn't run, he doesn't scramble, or he doesn't throw, nothing happens. But everybody on that offense is a playmaker. The offensive line are playmakers. Everybody on that offensive line is a playmaker. And until they start thinking like that and blocking like that, until they have that mindset, they're gonna struggle, and they're gonna struggle like they've been struggling the last couple of weeks. I don't know what you can do over the next couple of days, but I know that it needs to be fixed.
Well, easier said than done. I hope you're right, but I think we're going to see a real physical game come Saturday against Michigan State because they're better. I watched them beat Northwestern on the road. They beat Northwestern pretty soundly. They have a lot of guys back. This is Tucker's second year. I think they're well coached, they're disciplined, and they're going to bring it to Miami. I don't know what's going to happen. I would not be shocked if Miami does not win this game. Everybody was going, well, we're going to be 5-1, we're going to play North Carolina. Maybe not, or 4-1. Who knows? This is not a coastal game, but this is still a game you want to use as a springboard because Central Connecticut State's not going to be a game. And then Virginia, who's well coached, another team that just brings it to you. They're ugly. But they make Miami look bad in a lot of games in the last several years. So those are the games you have to win. But I think it starts Saturday. Can't have a bad performance against Michigan State and expect to be able to turn it around. It's got to start happening this weekend.
I totally agree with you.
Gary?
Yeah, I agree as well. I mean, I've been very impressed by what I've seen of Michigan State. Their quarterback's playing well. They've got a couple good running backs. The one kid had 200 and something yards the first week. Their offensive line is playing about as well as any offensive line in the country right now.
Well, they got 4 seniors. They got 4 guys returning.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to come out and they're going to take it right to Miami because they're going to see that the front seven is not real stout. And I'm expecting another 4-quarter game on Saturday.
Yeah, if it gets that far. Yeah, I hope you're right. But I think the offense has got to get better. And it does start with our offensive line. We've got to be able to score and get in the end zone and keep the defense somewhat off the field. Usually it's the other way around. Our defense is dominant, and the offense may struggle. But, you can't have both units struggling. And right now, that's the way it seems. I don't know how you fix it. But whatever they did in the offseason, it didn't seem ready for the first 2 games. That's for sure.
Well, listen, when I was at Miami, Jimmy Johnson used to always say that Jimmy Johnson used to tell us that the games are played on Saturday, but they're won in the off season, which meant that everybody knows the stickler on Jimmy Johnson in our off season conditioning and practicing and lifting and film and all that kind of stuff. Because I had him on my show Super Bowl week, and I reminded him of what he said, and he said, "You're absolutely right, Leon." He said, games are won in college on Saturday. He said they're played on Saturday. He said, but they're won in the off season. So for this offensive line to not be as productive and as physical as they should be, it makes me question the off season. I mean, it makes me question the intensity, the focus, all that kind of stuff. Because for them to go out and play against Alabama, now, don't get me wrong, Alabama has done that to a lot of teams, but that doesn't mean they should have done it to us. I mean, they take it to a lot of teams. But, I mean, it was like, it was almost like we were afraid of them. It was almost like we was overwhelmed. It was almost like we didn't even deserve to be on the same field as Alabama, the way they ran their offense against us. I mean, they were so meticulous when they ran their offense, the way they got after us defensively. I mean, it was embarrassing, to be quite honest with you, to watch that game, because I felt like that game to Miami wasn't even in the same tier, which they're not in the same tier as Alabama. And it was just very frustrating to not see that team at least compete against Alabama. And that was the most disheartening thing for me as a former Cane, to not see them at least give Alabama a struggle. I'm not here to question, what they're doing at University of Miami. I'm just saying that whatever they're doing or not doing, it's not translating well on the football field, as I've watched for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, that's painfully obvious, Leon.
Leon, offensive line aside now, what else did you see when you watched these first two games?
Well, offensive line, we don't have any playmakers. Where are the playmakers? Where the skill set, the wide receivers, the tight end, where are our playmakers? Who's making plays? I mean, Derek King seems to be the only guy that's scrambling around for his life half the time trying to make plays. I mean, where's the wide receiver core?
Well, I like Keyshawn Smith. He's a young kid, but he's got speed to get deep. He was deep. I think one of the last callers made a comment. He had to come back for the ball. He was wide open, and the other pass he caught, he made this spectacular catch. But, he's got arm problems. I think Derek King's struggling a little bit with deep ball, because this kid's going to be really good.
I don't think Derek King is 100% either. I think he's still struggling with that leg, with that knee. I don't think it's 100%. And defensively, we can't hold up defensively. We can't stop the run. We don't really have any real pass. You don't have any real pass rush. I mean, when you lose, 2 first-rounders from last year, that's to be expected. But, next man up. Jimmy used to always tell us that, when guys get drafted in the first round, he says, hey, listen, it's your time to shine. That guy's gone. He's in the league. It's your time to shine. And I don't see any step up by anybody defensively.
Because of the recruiting problems. That's another issue we haven't discussed. But the recruiting problem, I just gave you all those offensive linemen that are busts. And then Pope and Wiggins, like busts. So, thank God you got Rambo here.
Here's the thing, Bruce, here's the thing. Are they busts, though? Listen, here's the thing. Are they busts? If you get 4- and 5-star recruits coming out of high school, just because they're 4- or 5-star recruits doesn't mean that they automatically step on the field and they're supposed to perform the way they played in high school. No, those kids need to be developed.
Right, developed. I understand that. But I don't blame it on them so much as the coaching and them. They just didn't get better. A lot of these kids have not gotten better. It's not just on the offensive line. You could name 15, 20 guys that just relatively the same. I think Will Mallory's not much better than he was when he was a freshman. He was pretty good. A lot of these guys, it seems like they've done that and gone backwards.
And that's a problem. That's the problem. I know damn well when I came into Miami my freshman year, I was a puppy my freshman year. By my senior year, I was a pit. So I mean, that's coaching. That's coaching. So I mean, that's coaching. Now, if you came in your freshman year and your junior year, you playing the same way you played your your freshman year, then that's coaching. That's a problem. That's a serious problem. I know damn well when I came my freshman year, I ain't played the same way I did my damn senior year. I can guarantee you that.
Well, these are issues. These are all part of the reasons why there's this groundswell to get rid of Manny Diaz. He's like I said last week on a show, he's the king of the offseason. But what does he do during the season? What has he really done? Did they look prepared? Did it look like they come out at halftime with a different game plan and a strategy? Do any of these teams seem to be working? Or is it the same mistakes, the same stories week after week after week? We have a couple of close games we win. We won last week's game on a safety. Not because we outscored them, because that bad snap gave them the 2 extra points.
Here's what Manny's doing different. Okay, he's now winning the games he's supposed to win. But the big games, we don't shine. I mean, when the lights are the brightest, we don't show up. I mean,
don't show up at all.
You're gonna be. Well, yeah, I'm saying listen, and You don't show up at all. So yeah, right now he's winning the games he's supposed to win, but the games that really matter, we don't show up. That's the problem I have.
He's got one signature win. Was that him or that was Rick? Who beat Notre Dame, Gary? Rick?
That was Rick.
Okay, then
that
he has
Rick,
no signature wins.
Yeah, that was Rick. Rick beat Notre Dame. Yeah, he beat 40-9 or 8 or whatever it was, something like that. Yeah. I mean, until I see him beat a game of real magnitude, he's going to be. I'm not going to say that where I was going to say it. I was going to go there, but I'm not going to go there. He's going to be the middle of the road Manny. That's what he's going to be. He's going to be middle of the road Manny. That's no disrespect. I'm just saying that right now, when the games that count, last year Clemson, North Carolina, what happened? We got lit up. This year, Alabama, we got lit up. I mean, he's still got an opportunity. I mean, it's another big game. North Carolina will probably be a big game, and then we'll see how we play against North Carolina. But when the lights are brightest, we don't shine.
No, and that's pretty ugly, and it's getting ugly, and it's getting embarrassing, and there's a lot of frustration, and rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Leon,
you know,
hey, Leon,
how many coaches on his staff have head coaching experience? Is there anybody? So none of them would have head coaching experience, if I'm correct. Who's he going to turn to? He's got underlings that are just inexperienced like him for the most part.
Hey, Leon, let me ask you a question because I hear this a lot. Are the former players too hard on the current coaching staff?
No, we're not.
Told you.
And the reason why I say we're not because that's the house we built. They just renting space. All right, so we built that house. We built that reputation. We built that youth. We built all that fanfare and all the proceeds and monies that y'all they've been capitalizing over for the last 20-some odd years. So we built that house brick by brick. And any coaching staff that comes in, they got to understand that they're just renting right now, and that at any time there could be an eviction notice. Just want to let you know.
And let me ask you another question.
But what are you going to do about it? Are you going down there?
I can't do nothing about it. Hell, what can
no,
I do?
Leon can't do anything about it. But Leon, let me ask you another one. Let me ask you another one because I have this. I say this to the fan base all the time on our website and when I do different shows and stuff. I'm of the belief that it's not a pipe dream for Miami to be Miami again. My feeling is Miami can be Miami again if everything gets back in place.
They won't.
No? Why?
Miami. Do you realize what we did back then for 10 years? I mean, that's listen, 83 to 93. In those 10-year spans, we won 4 titles and competed for 7 or 8. Now, the only way we're going to be able to get back to that. I mean, listen, Alabama. I mean, Nick Saban's won six national titles in 12 years. All right, can we do that? I don't know. You got to bring in a bona fide coach.
If you get the right coaching staff and the right people in place inside the building, can Miami get back to the national title game?
Well, the right coach is in Oregon right now. And that's my boy. I'm just saying. And there's no slight on Manning. I just know Mario Cristobal. I know that he's been under the tutelage. I know he's been under the tutelage of Nick Saban. So I'm pretty sure that he runs that ship in Oregon the same way Nick runs his ship at Alabama. That's the reason why Alabama competes every year. Every year, people say, I'm tired of Alabama. Well, beat them. Do something about it. Beat them. That was the same way about Miami when I played. Man, I'm tired of Miami. You know what? If you're tired, beat us. But we had the coaches in place. We had the players in place. The players held everybody accountable each and every day. I ain't talking about in the game. I'm talking about in practice. I'm talking about in the weight room, in the film room, in the classroom, study hall, practice, all that. You got to hold each other accountable. You got to suck out all the air so they can't breathe when we played. It was accountability. The reason why we had so much success, yeah, we had a lot of talent on our team, but we held everybody accountable to a certain standard. And if you didn't play up to that certain standard, we used to call it you get called out and you get leaped on. There was some fist fights in the locker room, but we cared enough about the university that we weren't going to allow anybody to bring it down. So I'm not. I mean, that sounds a little barbaric now, but that's just the truth. That's just how we lived back then. We cared all about that you. It was all about the you. The NFL wasn't going nowhere. We knew that if we built a championship squad at Miami, that everybody would get fed at the NFL level.
All right, guys. Well, Leon, thank you so much as always for coming on the show. Love when you do. Love your viewpoints. How are things going? You still up in Jacksonville, right?
Yeah, I'm still in Jacksonville. I have my radio show in Jacksonville Monday through Friday, 12 to 3 p.m. It's called Lunch with Leon. It's 1010 XL, 92.5 FM. Monday through Friday. You can download the app. Yeah, you can download the app and listen to it online, or you can tune into the radio station and listen to them on Monday through Friday from 12 to 3, Lunch with Leon, 1010 XL, 92.5 FM. And, my book is out. My audio books is out right now, Fourth Down the Damn Alignment Story. You can download it. Yeah, the iTunes, Amazon, and Audible.
Well, that's great. So that means you're doing 15.
Good book, Gary. You got to read it.
It sounds like you're doing 15 hours a day of Urban Meyer talk.
I hope
15 hours a week.
hey, listen, we're telling people after the loss against Houston, we're telling people to watch all airports and bus depots for Urban Meyer's departure, because his
probably be in an ambulance.
Well, his body language in that last game was just terrible.
Does he go to USC, Leon?
Aren't too thrilled with him either.
Does he go to USC?
I heard his coaches weren't too thrilled with him either.
Nah, he's not going. I mean, I tell you what, if the USC job was open before he took the Jacksonville job, I think it would have been strong consideration, because the talk was USC or Texas before the Jaguars job came open. So, but he's not. He's gonna. This team is going to struggle. I mean, this team will be lucky if it wins 4 games. I mean, Urban Meyer at Ohio State only lost 7 games his whole career at Ohio State. Hell, he might double that this year, just because his team is young. Trevor Lawrence is young, and we got some of the problems that Miami has. Our offensive line struggles, pass protection, running the ball, and our defense can't stop the run to get up the passer. But the one bright spot is that we do have Trevor Lawrence, and I think he's going to get better week after week.
All right, Leon. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being part of the show again. Always love when you stop by.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, Bruce. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow night on the Lamar Thomas Show.
You got it. All right, you guys. Good night, everybody. Be safe.
All right. Leon Searsby, Bruce Warner. Leon had a lot of real interesting stuff to say tonight. They're tough. I mean, they are tough on the current coaching staff. The truth of the matter is that the program's been struggling for 20 years, and they have every reason to be frustrated. And he's right. They did build it brick by brick, and it's got to be a little bit painful for them to see the where things are. But I caution everybody: we're only two games into this current season. A lot of football left to be played, and I think this Saturday is going to tell us a lot, because now you're getting into the meat of the schedule, and Michigan State is a quality opponent, and this is your last prep before you get into the conference in a couple weeks, and there's not going to be a lot of time at that point to be switching linemen in and out and those sorts of things, and teaching people the plays. So it'll be interesting to see how they show up on Saturday. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's see where we're at here. Let's go to the 706. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary, good show so far. This is Sebastian.
Hey, what's up, Sebastian? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't seem to understand why we're struggling, but I'm not surprised that we are. I just kind of felt like there was a lot of false hope and expectations that were built. One of the things that I thought was kind of concerning was, we had the offense first team playing against the second team defense, and the second team and the first team defense playing against the second team offense. You need to have your top athletes going against each other so you can really get a good evaluation of where your team is at. And I couldn't seem to understand why that was happening. You know, the second point that I wanted to make too is, you said a lot, Gary, that maybe Manny's in over his head job wise and stuff like that. I just, going from being a defensive coordinator to going to being a head coach, when you're the defensive coordinator, all you want to do is beat up the offense. But when you're the football coach, you have to learn how to manage the whole entire program. And what I need you to help me answer is, why is he struggling so bad on defense, not just on the way they're playing, but even in recruiting? I mean, he's been in the program for 6 years, and I don't think we recruited one solid linebacker during his whole entire tenure.
Well, you just answered the question. You just answered the question, Sebastian.
Am I right? Because
yeah, you just answered the question. Why are they struggling on defense? It's because when he became defensive coordinator, they inherited some pretty good players.
Yeah, in the 6 years, we don't recruit true linebackers. We recruit players that we want to turn into linebackers, And linebackers are, 6'2", 225, 235. And, I remember I was frustrated on one of our calls that I had with you, and I was just like, well, there's nobody in the transfer portal. There's nobody in the transfer portal. Michigan State pulled 15 players out of the transfer portals. They knew where their holes were at their team, so I just can't seem to find a recollection of that. The other point I wanted to make, too, is sooner or later, because I kind of feel like, Gary, you're just setting us up, because I kind of feel like we know how this story is going to end. But sooner or later, we have to be able to win a game under this coach where the talent is just equal to each other. And that is going to me, that's going to be the determining factor on his fate, on if he's going to be able to do that or whatnot. Like you talk to us all the time that there's no team that we're going to play for the rest of the season that's going to have more talent than us. Well, then if it's not going to be about more talent, then it's going to be about coaching and execution for that to be able to take place. And that is how you win over your team. That is how you win over the program. The last point that I want to make, too, is I was really, really encouraged when I saw a couple plays that was made on during Saturday's games. And I'm going to tell you three that tells me that I really felt really impacted the game. The first one, it was Amari Carter when he was down near the end zone, and the quarterback was rolling out, and they swung the tight end out, and instead of him going after the quarterback, he dropped back into coverage and covered the tight end. I thought that was just a phenomenal play. Nobody has talked about that, but I thought that was a play in the game, because I think they turned the ball over downs. Well, that's when the turnover took place. I think the other thing that I saw is I finally saw Gervin Hall make a play. He made a great open field tackle on a wide receiver that ended up taking place. And the third play that I saw was when I saw Charleston Rambo really dig into Navon Donaldson for missing that block on that wide receiver screen. Did you see that play?
Yep.
He really just kind of lit into him. And the reason why I was glad to see Rambo do that is because Rambo comes from Oklahoma. He comes from a program where they are used to success. And success happens when everybody does their job and does their job right. And so the fact of him just really kind of laying into Navon, I thought was really sending a message to the coaches, too, that, look, I'm not sitting up here trying to get injured. And the reason why I came to Miami is because I believe into the program. So here's the deal. This Michigan State game, I think, can go three ways. One, Miami can, Michigan State could just overpower us, and we could just be in for a long season, expecting a coaching change and all of that, because I don't think the team will rebound from that. Two, Miami could play a decent game, and it'll be a fourth-quarter game, and they can pull it out. Or three, the coaches can make the changes this week that can show us a totally different Miami team, and it'll give us some optimism and some hope for the rest of the year. So you can provide some comments on that, but you can just keep me on hold after that.
All right, Sebastian. Thanks for being part of the show. I don't disagree with you. I think this is a big game Saturday. I think it's going to set the tone for what follows. I think that pretty much every game in the ACC is going to have the potential to be a four-quarter game, other than maybe Duke, which is the last game of the year. And by then, I think the fate's going to already be sealed. So I think this team's got to start building some confidence and some rhythm, and it starts Saturday. If they're not able to do that, well, Central Connecticut isn't going to put up any resistance or, give them anywhere near the level of competition that they're going to need. And then they're going into the conference and are going to play Virginia, and then they got to go play at North Carolina. So, I don't think Virginia is going to lay down. When have they ever laid down? Every year they've given Miami a tough game. And I think by October, North Carolina is going to have their act together, and then you got to play Pittsburgh and NC State, and by even the Georgia Tech's got a quarterback coming back now for his second year. I mean, they potentially, could be a little bit more competitive by later in the year. So there's going to be a lot of games. I mean, that are going to be very tough games. Virginia Tech, obviously. So this team's running out of time to get its act together. So, I would agree with what you said, no doubt about it. Let's go to the 386. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, how we doing tonight, Gary?
Doing great. Who's this?
This is Will. Hey, I have a couple of comments, and I have a question at the end of my comment. I'm one of the ones that's pushing the panic button. Mm-hmm. I'm also have to be in disagreement with you when you talking about a lot of it got to do with recruiting. I somewhat agree, but from what I'm seeing from Miami on the field has nothing to do with recruiting. How good a high school player you was, or how good you playing at Miami, or how bad you're playing. Miami is not playing inspired football. That has nothing to do with recruiting. Miami is not taking the fight to the other team. That has nothing to do with recruiting. Now, I have a comment I want to say right here. Let's go back to Manny's first year. My question to you is, what has he fixed since he's been at Miami as head coach? What has he improved since he's been at Miami as head coach? Let's go back to his first year just for a second. We opened against Florida that year. Going into the season, our Achilles heel was supposed to be the offensive line. We opened with Florida. We gave up double-digit sacks, 10 I think it was. Fast forward 2 years, we still having these same problems on offense, offensive lines, lack of a running game, wide receivers dropping passes. On the defensive side of the ball, poor tackling, blown coverages, receivers running wide open in our secondary. I mean, the same problems that was there when Manny took over as head coach. Fast forward 2 years later, and we still have these same problems. I can't understand why is it so hard for a head coach to fix these problems. Now, when we got blown out by Alabama, I was really looking forward to the Appalachian State game. I say these guys, I know they itching to get back out there on the field to have a better showing. They can't wait till Saturday come to play. And they get out there against Appalachian State, they have no life in them whatsoever. I saw him in his press conference last Saturday, and if I didn't know who had won the game, looking at his press conference, I'd have thought, hey, Miami must have lost. Just looking at his demeanor, Miami must have lost. And a lot of people are saying, well, it's not Manny's fault. The buck stops at the top. Manny Diaz, the one came through the door saying, we're going to be the new Miami. He the one came through the door saying, well, telling recruits you can come here and win national titles or go someplace else and get your A kicked by Miami. Manny Diaz, the one came through the door saying, we're going to play fast, physical, and violent. And it has been anything but. So my question to you is, what have you seen from Manny that make you think that these problems are going to be fixed? Because this team looked the same in his this is just my personal opinion. This team looked the same in his third year as it did in his first year.
Yeah,
I
don't disagree with you, Will. I don't disagree with you. The thing that Manny did do was he got Rhett Lashley to come to the program, and how great that is, I think, some people are debating right now, but, I think Lashley did a decent job last year. And Lashley helped him recruit De'Ara King, who I think saved them from a disaster last year. I think De'Ara King was worth 3 victories last year. Maybe he'll be worth 3 this year. We'll see. I think he was worth 1 already. I don't think they beat Appalachian State without De'Ara King, playing hero ball the other day. I mean, it's not what you want. A quarterback just running around like a chicken with his head cut off is not the recipe for a great offense and rhythm. But I think De'Ara King kind of took the team on his back on Saturday and was responsible for them winning that game. So that's 1, in my opinion, and we'll see how many more there are during the course of the year. So that's what he did. He got Lashley, and together they got King.
Well, my last comment, Gary, is, the coach at Oregon, he goes out and beat Ohio State. Now everyone want him at Miami. I'm still not sold on him. I would rather have Lane Kiffin.
I mean, I will tell you this. Lane Kiffin is flashy. Mario runs a great program. But that program that Mario's running, he's running it like Alabama. He's got the Saban playbook. He went to Alabama. He learned how to do it, and that's how he's running that program. And he's doing a great job there. Is he the offense? Lane Kiffin's a different type of coach. Lane Kiffin is the great offensive coach. He's going to put a great offense on the field. Is he going to run his program as well as Mario? No. Is he going to be as solid as a human being as Mario? Probably not. But can they both win in their own ways? Yeah, I'm sure they can.
Well, I'll tell you this. You and I, we've had this conversation before. And, I can't jump on the bandwagon just because you beat Ohio State. And I'll say what I'm going to be consistent.
But wait a minute, Will. Beating Ohio State followed a lot of things. I mean, beating Ohio State followed winning the Pac-12 2 years in a row. Beating Ohio State followed winning the Rose Bowl a couple years ago. So it's not like beating Ohio State was his first accomplishment in his tenure as head coach at Oregon.
So do you feel? So what you're saying is you feel like Mario Cristobal is on the verge of something great at Oregon?
Yeah, I think he's already doing great things at Oregon, and they're only getting better. Like, they're stacking recruiting classes every year. Like, his recruiting class last year was his best recruiting class. Those kids are true freshmen right now. They're not even playing yet. He had 2 5-star players that missed the game at Ohio State. That Justin Flo's out for the year. Thibodeau, I don't know if you noticed, they had no pass rush against Ohio State. Thibodeau's the best pass rusher in the country. So, yeah,
okay, I mean,
he's kind of just getting started, right?
I understand, but I'm not an Oregon fan. I'm a University of Miami fan.
Well, of course.
Tell Manny Diaz this right here for me. He will see a big difference on the field if the University of Miami would go out and play inspired football and start taking the fight to people. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for being part of the show, man. Give us a call next week. Let's go out to the 850. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, what's going on there, Gary?
Doing good. Who's this?
Yeah, this is Travis up in Tallahassee.
What's up, Travis? Talk to us. How they doing up there in Tallahassee? They
ain't doing good, man. And
they can't be doing real good.
Summer. No, man, I tried to tell them. I was like, all your summertime recruits are paper recruits. As soon as you guys start losing, it's all going to hit the fan. We're Miami. We've already experienced this. Actually, it's exactly what Matt was talking about, on one of your morning shows or whatever. But, yeah, absolutely. Like, they're crying in their beers up here. And it's beautiful to see that. I just wish that my team was actually good enough that I could, relish in their pain. But I can't because we suck just as bad. So I got a crap load of points. I got to say that Ross, man, that guy, on point, dude, on point. But anyways, you asked a question earlier.
You just made his head swell.
Hey, man.
Man, that's all he had. That's all Ross has to hear.
Man, he took about half my points. So that guy right there, man, he knows what's up. That guy knows what's up. BK.
Hey, Ross, you still there, Ross? Ross, you still there? Hey, Ross, you there?
Yes, I am still here.
Did you hear that? Did you hear what he
here.
just? Yeah.
Yeah,
Ross.
Because it's true.
Did you hear what he said about you?
That's right. He was preaching the gospel.
No, because it's true, man. It's passion. It's truth, man. Think about it. If we're going to allow, and I forgot to mention that Rambo did rip into Donaldson, and it might have been the reason why the offensive line coach had to come out and do what he needed to do today, because enough is enough. We're not going to put up with nonsense.
You think that was preconceived, Ross? You think he?
Kinda.
You think
he? You know what?
It had to be, right? Yeah.
You can't ask that guy to do that. Listen, I'm watching other teams play, and they don't have a 360 pounds. And I know he's not 360. I'm joking, but you cannot ask him to make that block. That's everybody's fault, because you got to protect your wide receiver there. And also, our tight end, who's supposed to be all world, he can't block either. So you got one job, and it's to catch the ball. And to start the momentum of the game, you drop it, sit your behind down.
But what I was talking about, I think Garen Justice today was trying to light a fire under his offensive line.
Yeah, because the wide receiver had to ring into him and say, "Yo, what are you doing? You're supposed to be over here. Block somebody."
Why are we 3 games into the season and somebody needs to light a fire under somebody's ass? You know what I mean? Like, come on, dude. That
means he needs to sit down somewhere, and somebody need to replace him at his job, because the wide receiver should not be attacking you like that, because you know what he's saying? In practice, you run your big behind out there because there's nobody contesting you. Do it today. Do it tonight when the lights are on. Or go sit down because you've been here 9 years. Take some pride into yourself here, buddy. You're looking to go to the league, or if you're not looking to the league, let somebody else take your spot. Because I'm trying to get to the league. I'm trying to do it here at the U, and I'm trying to get to the league. You're not gonna get me hurt here. Are you kidding me? I don't want to take no more of this guy's time.
No, we're gonna. I just wanted to see if he was throwing out some pretty good props.
Yeah, I do, and I'm glad you did. Yeah. I appreciate you bringing me in. You can do that in the future. But hey, buddy, we are diehards, and I'm tired. I'm embarrassed. I love watching college football. I like to watch a lot of games before we play, because I get to enjoy it, and I like to watch a lot of games after us. Because when I'm watching my games, I'm embarrassed to say I'm a Canes, but I'll never change. But I'm embarrassed. Let's start looking like an outfit. Let's start looking like we know what we're doing, guys. Gary, I've been talking to you over 4 or 5 years, Gary. One of the first thing I came to you on, and I said to you, was the offensive line. Stop making these substitutions. Pick a 5, go with it, and stop telling me in the summertime that Scaife and these other guys are ready, because they weren't.
Well, I'm sure you heard Leon comment on that. He agrees with you.
He dug into. Listen, this is the second guy in a row now that you've had as your guest. Really call it what it is.
Oh, those guys, they don't pull punches. They call it.
Place, sir. You can't be on training wheels at the University of Miami. We have people laughing at us, man, from afar. You kidding me?
All right, Ross, I'm going to put you back on hold, and we're going to let Travis finish up here. What else you got for us tonight, Travis?
Actually, I kind of got a list of things. You asked Greg earlier. I'm just going to try and ramble through them as fast as earlier. What you put on the banner? It's 3 words, and it's the same thing every article on a Miami site that I see. Fire Blake James. He's the reason. He's the reason that we're here. He's the reason that we have a first-time head coach making first-time mistakes, the same mistakes that he's made year 1, year 2, year 3. Your callers before all made that point, and it is perfectly illustrated. I mean, we're doing the exact same things, and we're talking about the exact same things that we were in year 1. Penalties, receivers riding open, offensive line getting no push, blah, 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 blah. The list goes on and on and on. It goes to Blake James. It was what you were saying last week. It's a week too early. This might be a week too early. You know, we might wait till Michigan State curb stomps us. Then we can start talking about firing Blake James. But it's Blake James, because you can't have that man making another decision for the University of Miami. He's a salesman. He's good at selling tickets and raising money. Congratulations. That's part of your job. Now, the other part of your job you have failed miserably at the whole time you've been here. So that's the answer to that one right there. I have you brought up rattled earlier. Mm-hmm. Good, experienced coaches, they don't get rattled. You know what I mean? Or very rarely, unless they're going against high tier, maybe like Jimbo Fisher's going against Nick Saban or something like that, yeah, maybe there's a little rattle going on. He's like, I'm not as good as Nick Saban. But first-time coaches, they get rattled. Experience what we're experiencing now, which we should not be dealing with if we didn't hire a first-time head coach. Another point I wanted to make, well, what did we expect from this year? Why I don't understand why everybody's like, hey, 10 wins, 9 wins, we're going to be a better team. It's the same players. And all they've shown in their whole time since being here is the same results. Why did we just have this, like, vision of this year being like, oh, man, it's all going to click and they're all going to get their asses, together and working as a functional unit, no matter what unit we're talking. Why did we think that?
Well, I think the hope was the offense would be better than what it's been so far,
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, maybe if receivers are going to catch balls. But if you're going to trot out the same people, you still got D. Wiggins out there. You still got D. Wiggins running around, man. Like, he's going to do D. Wiggins stuff. It's never going to change. At least they woke up and got Pope out of there. Sorry to throw people under the bus, but my God, man. All right, so it boils down to the same reports that we heard every year that Manny's been here, and when Mark was here, that, Green Tree All-Americans. Look how good we're doing on Green Tree, man. These guys are really taking it to them and stuff like that. I mean, maybe we can wax on our laurels a little bit, or what. I heard you make a comment earlier that they were feeling good, all right, cool, we're ready to go this season. Well, that mentality right there is a loser mentality. If you think Nick Saban ever once during this off season, on the bestest of days, was like, yo, man, that's good. Let's take tomorrow off, guys. Hell no. He came in there and got in their ass. He was like, nah, boys, that was terrible. You guys suck. I'm going to sit the starting tight end because, he didn't drink water correctly. You know what I mean? And that's the mentality that we have lacked for years and years and years. Thing about the offense, just to get to my last couple points here, basically what I'm seeing out of Lashley is an up-tempo Mark Richt offense. Mm-hmm. Convince me I'm wrong. Like, it's run, pass. Run, pass. Run, pass. And it's all up the middle.
He hasn't shown a lot of imagination so far this year. I hope that starts to change Saturday. All right, Travis, got to let you run. Got to give some other guys some airtime.
Can I get one
Go
question?
Go ahead.
Okay, so 2 years ago when Lashley came in, everybody said that this offense was super easy and that, you could learn it in 15 minutes, right? That was the narrative. I think Mallory was the one that said it's the easiest offense ever. Is basically we learned this in 15.
So why are there all these mental errors?
They tried to add 5 or 10 extra plays.
Yep.
And they couldn't mentally understand it. What is that? Like,
I don't know.
Anyways, thank you so much for having me on.
Can't explain that one, Travis, but great point. Thanks for being part of the show. Give us a call next week. Let's go to the 904 now. 904, you're live on CaneSport Live, but you got to get rid of that noise in the background.
Gary, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead. Who's this?
This is Antoine from Jacksonville, man. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, Antoine? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'd be doing better if I didn't see what I'm seeing on this field, man. Listen, man. We paying Manny Diaz $4 million a year, am I right?
Or close to it, yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's we look bad. Everybody already just said it. I don't know why we got the same linebackers who can't. They're not fast enough. They don't read their keys. They're just there, and everybody's getting to the second level on us. But let's go back to what I was saying, man. Listen. Okay, App State, I don't know what their entire coaching staff make, but it's not a lot of money. Okay, let's do this. Let's just say their coach make $1 million a year. Let's do this. Let's pay, get a coaching staff similar to App State, Coastal Carolina, somebody like that, pay them a little or nothing, and take the other money that we wasted on all these coaches and Manny Diaz, and just say, okay, we're just going to buy the best recruits money can buy. Let's just do that. We'll have, in a few years, we'll have a good football team. Why? Because we done saved money on these coaches who overpaid. And it's a narrative that you're saying that I can't agree with, man. Listen, when you're getting paid almost $4 million a year to coach a game, to coach football, oh, no, you have to take all the blame. Because you're literally getting paid life-changing money to coach a game and you're horrible at it. Like you if you're that guy making all that money, you have to take the blame. You are the blame. That's where it starts. I know Blake James hired you. He shouldn't have never hired Manny Diaz. And from what I'm hearing right is he's got a personal issue with Mario. So he let his personal issue with Mario not let him hire the best guy to coach the football team. Like, business is business. Personal pleasure is pleasure. Personal is personal. You separate the two when you're dealing with multi-million-dollar college football teams. So you telling me his personal issue with Mario was the reason he ran out there and got Manny and paid Temple all that money with behind everybody's back with nobody knowing? That's what happened? Is this what happened? No, I'm asking because when whoever his boss is and whoever their boss is, when they pull them in the room and say, hey, is this how this happened? Like, you doing something like that with my multi-million-dollar business, I'm going to fire you on the spot. Because you can't take personal issues and then fire a coach. And not hire a coach because of what your issue is with this coach. So, man, I know it's a lot of people that want to get on, man, but that in itself and the fact that Manny making all this money and he literally, got life-changing money, but he's coaching a horrible product. We look horrible on the field. App State has nobody on their football team that we recruited. Not one player. And you telling me that the coaches from App State can take a bunch of players who we wouldn't send a stick of bubble gum to, let alone a scholarship offer, and almost beat us in our home stadium with them? And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get off because I'm going to say this. I got to say this. King, when King makes his drops, when his back foot hits after he makes his drop, he's supposed to let that ball go. He's holding that ball. He can't, or he's not seeing what's going on, and it's making the whole offense look bad. He's supposed to know where to go with that football. He's been in college. He's 24 years old. And I think the fact that he was rehabbing so hard, he was rehabbing trying to get back, that maybe that messed with his film study. Maybe that messed with his preparation on actually playing football. But he is not seeing the field. Our receivers are open. Don't let nobody tell you that our receivers aren't open. Our receivers are open. They're not getting the ball. Have a good night, Gary.
All right, man. Thanks for being part of the show, Antoine. Let's go to the 808. You're live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
Hi, Gary. It's Norman. How are you?
Hey, Norman. How's everything?
Could be a little better. I know the two previous callers, one of them mentioned about the linebacking, and I think it reflects on Manny's inability to recruit. Because if you go back to 2016, he recruited Quarterman, Pinkney, and McLeod, and they had a respectable freshman year. But the next 3 years, they kind of, I don't want to say flatlined, but we didn't see any improvement. And in the following year, 2017, he recruited, Steed, Jennings, and a guy named D. Wild, who had to medically redshirt, and a fourth guy named Patrick Joyner, who did not see the field for 2 years and transferred out. And then we find out after and then after he transferred out, we find out that he played in a 3-4 system in high school. So, there's so many unsettling issues, and that's why we're paying for it now. And it's just unsettling to see how things have taken a huge downturn.
Yeah, well, everyone's kind of echoing those feelings. You're not alone.
And in fact, even in the portal, he failed miserably because he wanted guys to commit for 2 years, And being in the situation that he's in, where we have to win now to get a great recruiting class for 2022, I would have taken guys who are willing to play 1 year and provide a winning season, and that would draw guys for the 2022 class, and those guys will be playing from day one. So I think he missed the boat completely on that.
Mm-hmm. All right, Norman, you got anything else for us tonight? You're in Hawaii, right?
No, I just wanted to put in my 2 cents. Yeah.
All right, man. How's the sun shining out there? Is everything good?
Yeah, it's about almost 4:30, and the sun is still out. So, well.
All right. Well, you enjoy that good living out there, and thanks for being part of the show.
Okay, take care now. Have a great evening.
You got it. Let's go to the 843. You're live on CaneSport Live. 843, you with us? Going once. Going twice. All right, next time. Let's go to the 786. You're live on CaneSport Live. 786, you with us? Going once, going twice. All right, next time. Hope we're working okay. Let's try the 561. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Yo, Gary, can you hear me?
There we go. Yeah, who's this?
Scooter DuPont.
What's up, Scooter? How you doing this evening?
Yeah, just a couple things. Like, everybody wants to fire Manny. Same people want to fire Rick. Same people want to fire Al Golden. And, the big question I think you should be asking them is, like, who are you going to hire when you fire
Well, that's
Manny?
the key right there. Yes, sir. You hit it right on the head.
Yeah. Because
if you're going to fire Manny, and it's way too premature to be saying that, who is going to replace him? If you're just going to hire just another coach, don't waste your time. I mean, you're just going around in circles.
Right. Well, you're either going to hire. They all are going to be. Oh, you got to get a super alpha. You got to get a Nick Saban, Mario. There's only like 4 of those guys.
Correct. And if you're not getting one of them, then what's the point?
Yeah, well, if you're not getting one of them, you're going to hire another Manny, and you're going to sit around, give him another 3-4 years, and the cycle starts again. So that's, they all want to fire Manny, but nobody will ever give you a good answer. They're going to say Mario. Mario ain't leaving Oregon. He's rolling.
Well, you don't know. You can certainly inquire about it, but yeah, if he's not going to do it, then what?
All you have to do, Gary, is just do a survey of the college landscape and how many people have hired, like a Tom Herman or the Michigan coach. How many failures where you think, oh, this is a perfect hire? It's a crapshoot with these coaches. Even coaches that have had success in other programs, you bring them in. Who was the guy that fucked up Florida State? The guy who was great in Oregon and USC. You never know with these coaches.
Willie Taggart wasn't so great in Oregon. That was a horrible hire. Yeah, but he had only been at Oregon 1 year. He was okay. He was decent at South Florida.
Well,
which is why they hired him at Oregon.
Coach. He was that up-and-coming coach. To be, oh man, he's going to be great. He was the Mario. You never know with these.
No, Mario's pedigree and accomplishments are way ahead of Willie Taggart.
Yeah, but okay. Well, you understand my point.
Yeah.
So with Manny, and the other thing that they're so they never talk about Manny has essentially the same players. So Manny's he's a pretty smart guy. You could tell he's a smart guy. He's still got Bubba Bolden out there. The same guy from last year. Who did we lose in the bowl game? We lost the bowl. The same people who are missing these tackles. It's the same team. So Mario goes out. I'm calling him Mario. Manny goes out. He goes, hey, Bubba, me feeling good today? Yeah, okay. All right, I'm going to have you go out, play safety. You got to tackle these guys, okay? Same thing he was telling him last year. And what does Bubba do? He misses the tackle, or some guy runs over him, or whatever. Same thing with Amari Carter. Same thing with Gervin Hall. Same thing with Nestor Silvera. It's the same people. So it's not like he's this horrible coach. He just has these mediocre players. You know, he basically has like a Boston College team. These players aren't as good as like your articles are saying or people are saying. We've seen them versus Alabama. We know that they're just kind of like mediocre players. They're all mediocre players. What do you want the guy to do? What do you want them to make him coach? Oh, you got to coach him up. You're not going to coach up Nestor Silvera. He's not going to be an NFL type lineman. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Bubba Bull. Same thing with the Amari Carter. Same thing with all these jokers. They're just an average team. What do you want the guy to do? And if you want to fire him, well, great. We're going to start this whole thing over again.
Well, I think the argument that people make is if they are average. I mean, he recruited them. I mean, every player has been handpicked. I mean, so it's not an unfair, evaluation or opinion. I mean, he's recruited every single player on defense.
Yeah, but the team sucks, and he hasn't. You got to wait like you got to get a James Winston, and you got to get a couple. You got to flush the team out.
I mean, I think sucks is a little bit strong of a word, but if they're not great,
they're not good.
It's because that he didn't recruit well enough.
But it's still Bubba Bolden back there, and it's still John Ford. It's still the same people. You're not going to see. It's going to be last year's team. Remember last year's team?
It might not be as good as last year's team. You don't have Jalen Phillips and Quincy Roche wreaking havoc on the outside.
And even last year, I mean, people forget how we squeaked by these games. Mm. I mean, we were winning games by slim, like luck, like Appalachian State luck. Probably how it's going to go. It's the same team. So that's all I got to say. And, for all these people saying fire Manny, bro, you're not going to get Nick Saban in here or Urban Meyer. It's going to be another Manny, or it's going to be another roll of the dice. And that's all.
All right, Scooter. Thanks for being part of the show, man.
All right.
Let's go to the 727. Whoops. Whoa, wait. Sorry, I hit the wrong button there. Let's go to the 727. 727, you're live on CaneSport Live.
Gary, can you hear me there?
I can. Who's this?
This is Jake from St. Peter. Yeah, I don't know what happened.
What's up, Jake?
I
hit two buttons accidentally.
All good.
So what's going on, Jake? How you doing tonight? What you got for us?
Oh boy, was I fuming mad! I was at that game. My God, what a mess. One of the things. I'm not going to say people on the show or whatnot. Everyone here seems to have some passion, but where are the goddamn fans? Man, there was 10,000 people at that game. It was a joke. Just nothing but empty sections. There's no home field advantage. I mean, look, Central Connecticut State. Okay, I get. I got season tickets. I'm not going to that one. I'll donate them, and hopefully someone goes. But man, Saturday night under the lights, beautiful night, 10,000 people at that stadium. You were at the game. What stadium was? What, a fifth full, maybe?
I don't know. They announced it at 45,000. I'm guessing it was probably more like 35.
Oh shit! That stadium wasn't even a quarter full. There's no noise. I mean, it sounded like the greens at a golf game. I mean, not that there was a whole lot of cheer in that game, but my God. Anyway, that's just an aside. I mean, that's part of the problem, though. Is we got a fickle fan base. We got some hardcore. I mean, people on here, a lot, even on the message boards and whatnot, hardcore. But man, no one shows up. What? Everything you hear, coaching. Half these guys don't know the playbook. I mean, it's
that's why I don't ever just blame it on coaching. I don't ever just blame it on the players. I think it's a group effort.
Yeah, and here's what I'll say. Okay, look, we could trash Manny Diaz, all that, but we got a couple of proven commodities on this coaching staff. We got Rob Likens and we got T-Rob. And Rob Likens has coached first-round draft picks. He's put a lot of guys in the NFL. So has T-Rob. He's put even more, way more, first-rounders. It's the wide receivers not running the proper routes. Now, I'll say Rambo and Keyshawn Smith look pretty good, and I think Restrepo's got some ability. But, man, like Mike Harley, dropping passes. He's got, 4 drop passes on the season? How many drives has this guy stalled out? just letting the ball go right through his hands. He took points off the board on Saturday. I'm sorry. He's a, fifth-year senior. This is ridiculous. Like, what are these guys doing? You can't put that on the coach. Your players got to execute. I mean, I'm sorry. And, you're starting to hear some of the coaches say this, and I don't have a problem with that. One of the things I wanted to ask you, and this is funny because I was reading your Q&A on Sunday after the game on the site. Do these guys ever get yelled at? Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, how many...
I can't remember the last time I ever saw anybody yell.
Your response was, now that you mention it, I don't think so. And, there's no repercussion. There's no accountability here. So that is on the coaches because, if the players can't do it themselves, these coaches get paid the big bucks. You got to get in somebody's ear. Like, this is embarrassing how little heart and effort these guys put in. Will Mallory, I mean, that drop pass he had, that could have very well gone for a touchdown. If not, it's a 30-yard gain. You're in the red zone instead of drive stalls out. And he just kind of lollygags off the field like, well, better luck next time. And it's like, that's why you're barely winning the App State. It's not that you're more talented. It's not that you need better recruiting. It's that you guys put in no effort and you don't give a shit. And, what do you expect to happen? App State came to play. They had about 1,000, 2,000 fans in there. They were fired up. The team was fired up. They came there to win. They came there to play. And we just kind of showed up, we're Miami. We're better than you. And half-assed it the whole night. It just seems like this team is always ready, willing, and able to let off the gas. These players just want to do just the bare minimum to get by. Most of them, it seems like they're just doing the bare minimum to get to the NFL if they can, or even get to a practice squad. And it's just, it's horrible. To me, that's the biggest problem. And until you break that problem, I don't know what it takes, but it's like, hey, you got to start getting in someone's ear, ripping their head off. My God, I was glad to see. Thank God, Garen Justice finally called someone out today, because I mean, this effort is just bullshit. I can live with a loss. I can live with that. It's football. Nobody, even Alabama, doesn't win every single game. Even us in our heyday, we didn't. But when you just see a team come out, just put such a lackluster performance out. I was watching the replay because I'm on the 20-yard line, so sometimes you don't see all the good stuff happening at the end of the field or bad stuff in our instance. Corey Gaynor, I was watching the replay, and it was one of the plays that King got sacked on. And he just, that Roof kid who was just, maximum effort all game and just flying all over the field. He had 2 sacks in that game. And he just puts a little chip block into him. Rather, he's not blocking anyone. He's staring out in the open field. He's got 100 pounds on this kid. Put him in the dirt. And then actually Cam Harris put a really good block on him, pancaked him, but then he let him get back up and sack King. Now, King's got to get rid of the ball. But that's your job, is to block. When I played football, the best feeling in the world was when you pancaked a guy and you dove on his ass. You put him in the ground and you made sure he didn't get up. That's effort. I don't know. It's just that I was so fuming mad at that game just because it just seemed like they were just half-assing, doing as little as could be. And then again, it comes down to the players. You're telling me T-Rob hasn't taught these guys what to do. Gervin Hall doesn't. He's been in this defense for 3 years now. He's been starting. He doesn't know where the hell he's at on the field.
Yep.
You with me, Gary?
All right, Jake. Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I hear you. I'm amazed how frustrated everybody is so early in the season, but yeah, I hear you.
When you see lack of effort, you get pissed because you know what? It's like I put in the effort to pay the money to go to the games, and just when you see guys just half-assing and okay and just fine with being mediocre and half-assed, it's annoying. It really is. If that was a better team out there and they put everything they had into it and they lose, so be it. You know what? It happens. I can live with that. That's entertaining. When you see guys playing, putting all the effort in, even Alabama frustrated, but it's like, hey, they're a better team. That team played hard. But last week, man, just, horrible. Anyway, I'll let you go, man. Thanks for letting me rant.
No problem, Jake. Thanks for being part of the show. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Still got to get to some of these questions, but let me go one more here. Let's go to the 305. You're live on CaneSport Live.
From this day forward, I belong to you.
What the heck is that? If you want to come on, you got to turn that down. I'm giving you 1, 2, 3. All right, next time. Let's go to the 404. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Oh, my God. Thank God I got to come behind the 2 pumpers that just got off the phone. This is Pookie.
Hey, what's up, Pookie? How you been, man?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. They just contradicted themselves so bad because they tried to deflect it off the coaching, but ended up deflecting it back to the coaching in the first place. The first dude, Scooter, he gets on here talking about if the players on the team are not good enough. Well, let's think about it. Manny's been here 6 years. Don't you think he's responsible for like 90% of the players that's on the defensive side of the ball? I mean, whether it's through recruiting outright or the transfer portal, these are the guys he claimed that he needed to run his defense. So, therefore, again, it falls back on the coach. And the last guy, he wants to talk about players being yelled at or held accountability. That, once again, falls on the coaches. Manny's been here since 2014. 2014. His defensive depth chart should be off the charts. It should be beyond the offense at this point. There should be any holes, anything when it comes to that defensive depth chart. But we're still talking about the linebacker position. And somebody said that he recruited Shaq and Pinky. No, he didn't. That's Al Golden. He fell into that. So he hasn't recruited any linebackers since he's been here. None. Zero. Zilch. So I'm tired. Like, y'all, like Leon Searcy hit it on point. At the end of the day, it falls on him. Whether it's player development, when it's recruiting, it falls on him. He gets y'all all hyped in the off season, goes out here, oh, we're going to hit the transfer portal, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And it's the same stuff every year. So y'all can try to downplay it like y'all want to. Oh, he's got average players. Yeah, he's got average players, but them the same average players he said he was going to win the ACC Coastal with. So now the players aren't good enough. Kill it, bro. Like, Bubba Bolden, he was considered one of the top line safeties coming out of high school. So now he's trash. Come on, man. Like, y'all got to stop all of that. Really, y'all got to stop all of that. All these players that are so-called great when we were recruiting them, but now once they get to Miami, they're not. They're just average Joes. But if these guys they ball out. Shut it out, man. Like, stop it. Stop making it seem like it ain't what it is. And we haven't just been seeing this with Manny. This has been with previous coaches. So this is not something new. This is something that's been going on for the last 12 years. And y'all got to stop all of that. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. And something I wanted to point out in Justin's interview, which I thought was a great interview, but he said something about, I guess he was comparing the game between Alabama and Appalachian State. He was saying, well, obviously we didn't look great against Alabama, but I thought we would look better against a lesser opponent. I don't get that mindset. So we want to measure ourselves against lesser opponents. I mean, Manny even said the same thing in his presser too. So now we should be judging them based on when they play against Central Connecticut and Appalachian State? I don't understand that. You recruit out on a high level, so we're expecting you to play at a high level and play other teams that are at a high level. Why would we want to measure you against the Appalachian State? Like, I don't understand that mindset. It also makes me feel like you're teaching to your kids, the players, that they're just average, that they're not good enough. Like, I don't understand that. That's crazy. So, yeah, we thought we would see a better performance because we were playing against Appalachian State. Huh? Gary, tell me where that is, installing confidence in your players.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm struggling with all this just because it's so early in the season. But
I just don't understand.
I mean, I understand. I mean, listen, they weren't competitive against Alabama at all. I mean, not the least bit competitive. Alabama could have done anything they wanted in that game. And Appalachian State, I mean, they eked out a victory, but one of the callers earlier tonight astutely pointed out that there's no comparison between the way Appalachian State recruits and Miami recruits. It's like theoretically the game shouldn't even be close.
Yeah, but it's just mind-boggling that a coach would say that. Oh, I thought I would see something better against Appalachian State because, of course, we didn't expect them to be great against Alabama. Like, I don't get that. Like, it's like you're telling your players that they're just not good enough. You recruit them and you tell them they're good enough, but then once they get here, it's just, I don't get that. And then, like, you have all spring and fall to figure things out, and you claim to have figured everything out. By the time comes the first game of the season, and now all of a sudden we don't know who's good enough. We thought this guy was good enough, but now we don't know if he's that good enough. So now we have to play this guy to figure out if he's good enough to play. Like, I just don't get that. Like, every team in the FBS has the same amount of time to figure things out. Miami's no different. So at the end of the day, this is a coaching issue. And it's just mind-boggling that a coaching staff at this level are making these kind of mistakes. It's crazy. But that's all I had to say. Thank you, Gary.
All right, Ook, man. Always great to hear your voice. Thanks for being part of the show. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to sneak in on the last 15 minutes of the show tonight. Let's go to the 205, and then I'm going to hit questions that were submitted today. 205, you're live on CaneSport Live. How you doing?
What's up, Gary? How you doing?
Doing great. Who's this?
This is JC4 in Birmingham.
What's up, man? What you got for us?
What's up? Yeah, Uki hit so much stuff that I really wanted to talk about. I really was so angry watching the game because it just further goes to show that they weren't ready to play. They weren't ready to play, and the coaches allow this time and time again, and it comes back to coaching. I mean, how many times are we going to go into a game and allow players as a coaching staff to have penalties, not lining up right, dropping balls, tackling? I mean, these are issues that are taught. I mean, these players that we sign that choose Miami don't just magically come on campus after picking Miami over top-tier schools and become average players. They're not being developed. Why do the players that pick the other schools over Miami end up getting drafted and going on to the NFL, but when they come on our campus, after 2 or 3 years, we just assume I guess they're not good players anymore. It's pretty obvious they're not being developed. I mean, would you agree with that?
I would say it's in question. I mean, I'm out of practice a lot. I mean, I see the coaches trying to develop players. Do I think at times maybe it could be better? Sure, but I don't kid myself that the coaches, just because they're at Miami, are the best position coaches and the best coordinators or whatever in the country. But I can comfortably say that we're not seeing the results of it. I mean, we're really not.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're not seeing players get significantly better year to year.
Absolutely, Gary. So, all things aside, what's most frustrating is for a guy who came in as a defensive coordinator talking about the Miami standard, and we had this standard of excellence. And, one of the things that I think is so awesome, I played ball in school, in college, and my offensive coordinator was a Gus Malzahn protege as well. So a lot of the stuff Brett Lashley preaches, I'm all for it. But one thing, being in Alabama, you hear a lot about Nick Saban. And Nick Saban doesn't care about the scoreboard. All Nick Saban cares about is executing and playing your best at his standard of excellence all the time. And when we come out of the Appalachian State game and our head coach is saying, yeah, well, we won, we should be happy we're winning. And, for a guy who came in talking about the standard, I mean, is that the standard at Miami now? A gutsy win over Appalachian State? I mean, if he expects us to be happy about that at the U, then he shouldn't be here. I mean, he shouldn't be here. It's as simple as that. So to me, that's not acceptable. And if you allow your players to accept that at this program, then we'll never be national title contenders ever. I mean, if we have players saying, yeah, well, we won, we got the win. No, we played like shit. We played bad. We're 1-1. We're 1-1. Great. We're 1-1. We played like crap twice. We're not executing. We're not playing well. We had stupid penalties. We're missing tackles. We're doing things that if we played a quarterback with a pulse, we'd lose. We'd be 0-2. I mean, that's the simple end of it. So that's why it's so frustrating watching this team. And for anybody that's out there saying, let's not blame the coaches. No, it's about time. It's about time to start blaming the coaches. But he's going to get a chance again this Saturday to try and fix some things. So I'll start by, some positives I saw on offense is because I really do like the offensive system. Some of those things can be fixed. The offensive line is turning too many guys loose. They don't communicate on blitz pickups. We might be the worst team in college football picking up 5-man pressures that I've ever seen. I mean, if a team sends more than 4, Derek King's just running for his life. So, and hopefully they can fix that. If they can stop dropping balls and they can eliminate penalties, I really do think the offense can be successful. I don't know how successful they'll be with the offensive line that they have, but I do have some confidence that the offense can be as productive as it was a year ago if they clean up some of those controllable errors. But the defense is in big trouble. If the defense doesn't fix tackling, they might give up 250 yards rushing again this weekend, and it could get ugly really, really fast. So I don't have much more, Gary. Do you have anything to say about the things I've said? I mean,
no, I mean,
a crazy person.
I hear you. I hear everybody tonight pretty much saying the same thing, and I'm kind of surprised how much frustration there is this early in the season. But I mean, they have not looked good, and it has not been a very good look so far. So I get it.
Yeah,
I think Saturday's a big day.
I think the frustration really comes from we have more players returning than we have had in this program in such a long time, and for us to get the same result on the field is almost unexcusable. We haven't had a second-year offensive line coach, the same system that was a good system. We would expect there to be some sort of progress, and there's been zero progress. It seems like it's the same team. Now, like I said before, I really think that if they clean up things on the offensive side, some of those controllable things that kill their drives, the offense really can get going again. They do have players on offense that they can get the ball out on the edges. I pray to God that we start utilizing an outside run game, because our run game inside the tackles is clearly not our strength. And when we get our backs outside the tackles, they finally have room to run. So I hope that we see some more of that this weekend. But that's really all I got, Gary. I hope they tackle better. I hope the offensive line plays better. If those two things can happen, then Manny can save his job for another year. But other than that, man, go Canes. I appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks for being part of the show. All right, for the last few minutes here, I'm going to attack some of these questions and topics that were submitted on the message boards at CaneSport.com. It's year 3. Where is the progress? Is this program moving in the right direction? Is year 3 going to be better than year 2? Will year 4 be better than year 3? Well, I think you've kind of heard how everybody kind of feels about this, and I certainly haven't heard anything tonight that I can disagree with. I mean, they have to show us. They have to show us that year 3 is going to be better than year 2. Year 2 was better than year 1. I think we would all agree with that, and the reason for that was that they won the close games. This year I think they have to win the close games, and they have to look a little bit better doing it to give people the warm and fuzzy feeling that this program's headed in the right direction, because at the end of this year, you're losing De'Ara King. You're going to have to break in a new quarterback next year. The offensive line, I feel fairly comfortable saying, is not going to be better next year than it is this year. There's no reason to expect why it would be. The linebacker situation doesn't look like it's on the cusp of getting better. The defensive line situation, I'd like to see what Leonard Taylor has at some point here, what he can bring to the table, and see if it's better than what John Ford and Nesta and Jordan Miller are bringing to the table right now. Show us a little Leonard Taylor with Jared Harrison Hunt. Let's see what that looks like. I'd love to see that, and see if there's even a chance that things might get better. I've heard some good things about Elijah Roberts. I would like to see a little bit of him this year. Let's see what he can do. I agree with the whole theory that it's time maybe to look at some different guys. I mean, if the team is not playing up to snuff, if there's a lot of mistakes, maybe it's time to look at some of these young guys and see if they can do better. So there'll be some opportunities. Certainly against Central Connecticut, there'll be opportunities, and we'll see. But I do understand that if you're going to be in a lot of tight games, any coach is to go with his veteran players. Any coach is going to do that. He's not going to be in a hurry to throw true freshmen out on the field, because those true freshmen are going to make mistakes, and that mistake that they make could be ball game. And a coach that is feeling the pressure, like I'm sure Manny's starting to feel a little now. He knows it's year 3. Better start showing something. I could see why he would want to ride with his veterans. Will Manny resign before he's fired? I would say there's zero chance of that happening. 14-10 with 3 of those losses to Duke, FIU, Louisiana Tech, UNC with a 778-yard and 62-point output at home. We're 1-3 in our last 4 games with a come-from-behind victory against App State. What is going on? Where is it going? When will the change happen? All legit questions, except for number 3. I don't think we're at the point yet where a change happening is a pertinent subject. Just not. Although I know it's on a lot of people's minds. I think the other questions are very legit, and I don't think we have answers to those right now. We don't know where it's going. We don't, I think that'll be defined over the next month or so. I mean, the heart of the schedule is rapidly approaching, so I think that where it's going is going to get answered pretty soon. Okay, why is the true cancer of the program, i.e. the Board of Trustees, not publicly crucified, humiliated, shamed, etc., continuously until they're forced to either quit, retire, removed, blah, blah, blah. Okay, here's why. The Board of Trustees are not trustees because of athletics. They're trustees to oversee the entire university, the med school, the law school, the business school, the education school. The athletics is a very small element of any university, really. So you can't judge trustees and their participation in the board based on how much they care about athletics. And no argument. These trustees at Miami don't seem to care very much about athletics. Will that change or not in the near future? Probably not. But I think what the board needs to look at is who they are putting in charge of athletics. And, I don't know very much about David Epstein, who's currently the guy that's tabbed in that position. I know he's not very visible. I know very few people know him. Very few people have seen any impact he's made on athletics. He was not involved in the coaching hire like he should have been. Blake James needed somebody checking him at the door, saying, whoa, slow down, do a proper search. You can't hire a coach without knowing who your candidates are. Just simple, basic, fundamental things of, running a big-time college athletic department. So what's going to happen in the future? I don't know. I guess we might see. We'll see how things go here in the coming weeks. But in terms of trustees being a cancer of the athletic program and not being publicly humiliated, crucified, shamed, that's not their purpose as trustees. Their purpose as trustees is to look out for the best interests of the overall university, not just the athletic department. Does the USC situation put the pressure on the Miami trustees? Well, it depends how the season goes. I mean, if things go bad and games start being lost, of course it does, because then you have the appearance of USC, and Miami is supposed to be the USC of the East, caring about their program more and being proactive and making a statement that what was going on there wasn't good enough. So yeah, I think it does put a little pressure on. Not right now. I don't think you're at that point after losing to Alabama and having a so-so outing against Appalachian State because you won the game. Had you lost the game, I think that the conversation might be a little bit different and there would be a lot more pressure. But right now, I just don't think it's applicable because they did win. They're 1-1, and Saturday against Michigan State, I think is a pretty big game for a non-conference game, just because they need to start looking good. They need to start building momentum for the conference season. Xavier Restrepo, does he start this week? Probably depends on what play they want to run. I mean, Restrepo and Harley are kind of alternating now. I'm not sure who had the most. Let me see who had the most snaps last week between those two guys. Harley had 55 snaps, did not have a very good game. Restrepo had 15, so I guess that answers your question. But does Harley lose reps because he had a bad game the other day? We don't know that. We'll see what happens this weekend. But Restrepo's a guy I know that they're very confident in. He has performed very well in practices and very well in scrimmages, and didn't do much obviously in the first game, but when he's had opportunities, he's done well. Is the front seven second stringers that happen to be starters? Depends on the program. Second stringers at a big time program like in Oklahoma, an Alabama, and Ohio State, yeah, I think they would definitely be second stringers. I don't think there's one guy on the D line that would start for Alabama, for example. All right, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. I want to thank Leon Searcy for being part of our show. Thought that was a great segment. The former players are tough. They are very tough, and they feel like they have a right to be, and it's hard to argue with them when they make their case, and I don't think they're going to stop being tough until they see this program be back at the level that they feel that they set the standard for. All right, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, the Lamar Thomas Show. We'll have Dennis Erickson and other guests and friends joining us, so I hope you guys can be part of that. And next Tuesday night, we'll be back with another CaneSport Live to talk about all these subjects some more. So thank you, everybody, for listening tonight. And until next time, have a great evening.